Like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you already been coming to the channel for a while, then go on here, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well, but what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button, and everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks. Today we are going to be talking about well, we're going to have another interesting show for sure. We are doing another installment of Unsupervised White People, okay? And today's show will be Captain Kirk gets beamed up, y'all. Captain Kirk gets beamed up. If you have not heard, Charlie Kirk has been assassinated, y'all. Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. So he did. He's the news. We're gonna do a story on it. So Charlie Kirk got, he got beamed up. Okay. So, it is what it is, So unfortunate for him and his family. He out of here, y'all. He's out of here. But I think there's a few things to discuss, since this has occurred. But before we get into it, let me take this moment out to give credit what credit is due. Okay, shout out to all the people who come to the channel to give me views. I definitely appreciate it. It's good to know you folks are out there. Shout out to all the people who make comments after the streams. It definitely helps with the channel. So appreciate that. Appreciate that. Shout out to all the people who hype me up, y'all. I know they got something new about some hype points. So y'all remember, hype me up, okay? And shout out to everybody who hits that like button, which is almost like pulling teeth for some of y'all. But I appreciate the ones who go ahead and hit that like button. But shout out to the people who go to the next level and they become financial contributors of the channel, because these people allow me to do some of these things the way I do them. And it wouldn't be the same without them. And that's just real talk. It just wouldn't be the same without them. So shout out to everyone who steps up and becomes a contributor to the channel. And shout out to the sponsor of today's stream. It happens to fall on Sarah B. Sarah B, it falls on you. Thank you very much to Sarah B. And as y'all can see, Sarah B is a serious financial contributor. She rocks with us over here at the Roger Report Live. She rocks with us. Kind of funny just that today's show happened to fall on her being the sponsor of the stream. But hey, it's cool. We gonna make it happen anyway. It's cool. It's cool. And we gonna do a true examination here about again, another edition of Unsupervised White People, which is exactly what Charlie Kirk was. He was an unsupervised white person, making unsupervised moves. And, it is what it is. And we're going to take a look at that. So Captain Kirk has been beamed up. Now, the thing is, y'all, based on what I've looked at into Charlie Kirk, because, I done came across clips of Charlie Kirk in the past. He done said some things. I wasn't really rocking with the dude. The guy's a conservative. I just took a kind of a deeper look into what being a conservative is. We recently had a show about some black conservatives and this type of stuff that they said, and there was a lot of protection of white folk going on in that. And I'm gonna say some protection, some white supremacy that was going on in that. Now, Charlie Kirk was a conservative. Now I'm going through all these different things, and it's like a known thing that Charlie Kirk is a conservative. Well, at this particular point in the game, because being a conservative don't look too good. Okay, now is it all bad? No. Okay, it's not all bad, but it definitely ain't all good. That's for sure. That's for sure. They remind me of Satan in the garden, y'all. They remind me of Satan in the garden. Yes, remember when the serpent, or I'll just say the serpent. Some people may not believe that was Satan, but the serpent in the garden, he definitely mixed in with some truth with his lies. Okay, he definitely mixed in some truth with his lies. So it is what it is. Shout out to Blexic Duck Community. He said, "What?" I don't know what you surprised for. I don't know what you surprised for. When I go look at stuff and look for information, bro, I'm gonna tell it what it is. If I see it, I saw it. It is what it is, bro. If I see it, I saw it. I ain't gonna pretend I didn't see what I saw. That's just the way it works, man. I ain't got to do all that. If I see it, I saw it. It is what it is, okay? But you know what? Before we get too involved in this, let me also give a couple shouts out to some of the people who checked in this morning, because it's always great when you start a show that you see people start filing in through the door. It's always a beautiful, beautiful thing. But y'all do know how it goes. There can only be one, and that one again. Yep. What's this, 3 days in a row? In my memory, right? Is this 3 days in a row? My main man, Trail Billy, then came through again. Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you, brother. Representing as he always does. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag hell, Hydra. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Glad to see you in the building. Glad to see you in the building. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate you big time. And we got following him up, the pit crew checking in. Mr. Shug to you. The Saute Sheriff is in the house. Great to see you. Great to see you. The Righteous Teacher is here. Shout out to that brother. Tunnel Runner checking in. Great to see you. Pop Like Brown is here. What's happening? What's happening? My main man, Floyd Thompson, is here. Yay, yay. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. 79 Kali Hakate is in the building. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Afro Merchant is checking in. Glad to have you. Boot Camp just pulled up a seat at the cool table. Good to see you. Blessed the Community is here. And you know, you're always welcome, Blessed the Community. We always welcome. we got Inspired Truth Broadcast in the house. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Great to see you. Kunguru is here. Glad to have you. Terenzo Jones is in the building. Great to have you, brother. Great to have you. It's going to be a great show, y'all. We got Ken seeing red in the house. Debonair brother is here. Debonair brother is here. All my Hosley monetized is checking in. Shout out to that brother. Champ Car for Life is here. It's going to be a great show, y'all. Waskin and Man Cave is here. It's going to be good, y'all. It's going to be good. I'm pretty sure. Shout out to Debonair brother. He say, funny title, laugh out loud. Sent to my fam chat and friends. Laugh out loud. Hey man, I'm just trying to give a title that well, we can say what needs to be said, but we don't technically break no rules or anything like that. But it turns out, according to what was said, now me as a person who does have, believe the Bible, it is not my place to judge that man whether he's going to make it to heaven or hell. That is not my place to do. That is up for God and God only. But he did say he was a Christian. He said he believed in certain things. So if you are a true Christian, if you are saved, if you have that relationship with the Lord, okay? Now it's sad for folks who are on earth who happen to know this man personally, because I hear he got a wife and a couple kids. I'm pretty sure it's a sad day for them. Okay, sure, it's just a sad day for him. He was involved with politics and all that type of stuff. So it's some politicians. It may be a sad day for them. Even I think my man Donald Trump, what he say? It's a dark day for America. I think that's what Donald Trump said. It's a dark day for America. Seems sunny outside to me, but he did say it's a dark day for America. Seems extremely sunny to me, but he did say, y'all, it's a dark day for America. Now, I think it's a dark day for some Americans. I do believe that. Is it a dark day for America collectively? Not at all, man. It's so bright, man. I got to wear shades. I'm just gonna keep it real on that note. But I do believe it's a dark day for the people who knew him personally, especially, his wife, his children. I heard his children is young, so maybe they don't quite understand what's going on yet. But there's some dark day for somebody. Now, this is also the thing. If he truly had a relationship with the Lord, when they popped him off, okay, he got shot in the neck. I put some links in there. I put a not so graphic link in there, but I also put a graphic link in there. So it's up to you which one you want to see, because I ain't going to try to sneak something like that up on you. I wasn't going to sneak it up on you in case somebody personally cares about something like that, so you can see how it went down. Now, I'm not going to say a white man killed him. Because, I saw some of the things and what they got. They got, Personal Adventures was taken in. They said that wasn't the guy. Some other folks saying it was this guy, that guy. At this particular moment, I don't know who the person who shot him was. So I'm just not going to say what color that person is. But I'm going to have the assumption at this point that it was a white guy. That's the assumption I'm going to make. Why? Because it was a sniper killer. Okay? Black men ain't really known for sniper killers. Now, not saying black men couldn't do it. Some of the best snipers, according to the information I've seen, are black men. Shout out to Trail Billy. He said Utah. And what goes on in Utah, y'all? Hey, Utah's a pretty white area. Okay, so when you start doing the math, I don't think it was a black guy. I think that was another unsupervised white person that shot Charlie Kirk. Now, I'm going to say there can be some good things to that. There can be some bad things to that. Now, I'm going to say this, y'all. If he had a relationship with the Lord, that means he got to go to eternity in paradise. So it's not a bad thing for him. I'm not saying he got there. I'm not saying he didn't get there. That is not for me to judge. I do not judge what's in people's heart. The only thing we're supposed to judge, according to what I understand, is what people's actions are. We are not supposed to judge what's in their heart. So all I'm going to say is good luck. Okay, good luck. It is what it is. Shout out to Pop Light Brown. He says professional hit. Possibly. I'm going to say professional style hit, because it's, if you go and have something like that done, sure, you pay a guy like that to do it, but we don't know what the motivation of the shooter was. It may not have been professional. Maybe nobody paid him. Maybe he just wanted to take him out. Sometimes you got people who just won't take you out. Nobody had to pay him. So it could be a professional shooting, but we don't know at this point that somebody paid him to do it. He might have did that for free. Okay? He might have did that for free. Now, shout out to Terenzo Jones. This we can say trained sniper. Yeah, we can make that assumption. It was a trained sniper. But a professional shooting means somebody paid him to do it. We don't know if this guy just did it for free. He might have did it for the love. Because Charlie Kirk has said some things have come up that can, let's say, create a few enemies here or there. Okay, they can create a few enemies here or there. So somebody might have did it for the love. Okay, I'm not saying he didn't get paid. We don't technically know who he is right now, but Charlie Kirk done said some things that could get a couple different types of folks a little flared up, and y'all know how white on white crime goes. Okay, y'all know how white on white crime goes. Now I'm gonna say this. Do I agree? Because that's what people want to know. Do I agree that Charlie Kirk should have been killed? I mean, I don't know that he did anything for me worth killing. Put it like this. He ain't did nothing that I would kill him over, but he clearly did something that somebody else would kill him over. Now, we could say the person was crazy. The fact that it seems like a person who knows exactly what they're doing executed this mission, I doubt it was a crazy person. I'm going to say that. I doubt it was a crazy person. Now, people could say, well, it's probably somebody who disagreed with his political views. We don't know that. We don't know why he got killed. Until you know why he got killed, we can speculate. And I'm not saying there aren't things worthy of speculating on. But I've heard that Charlie Kirk done said a few things about a few different groups of people, Americans and non-Americans. That man could have had haters from anywhere. And that's just real talk. Now, he is in America, so I agree with freedom of speech. So just because I don't like your speech, don't mean I'm going to say you shouldn't get to say your speech. I tell you, I've said to the audience on multiple occasions, multiple occasions, that, hey, I'm not going to ever sit up here and tell y'all who not to listen to. There's plenty of people I know some of y'all listening to who I think are just trash content creators. But I don't call them people out. I don't say their names. I'm not trying to influence your opinion of them. Whatever you think of them, that's on you. I done said plenty of times before, you got to be held to account for what you believe. So whoever you decide to listen to, that's on you. It ain't on me. Okay? Yeah, I told you I don't listen to very much of people. I barely got time to listen to the people I like to hear. Okay. But I definitely got to look at stuff I don't want to hear. Now, Charlie Kirk being assassinated, I got into listening to stuff I didn't care to hear. But I had to know something about what's going on. Okay. Now, me personally, I've come across Charlie Kirk in the past as far as his content, some of the things he said. And I've been turned my ear away from Charlie Kirk. So that's why I said I had to go listen to stuff I didn't even care to listen to. Okay. Charlie Kirk wasn't no friend of mine, so it's not a big deal to me. Okay. Well, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, because anybody getting killed is a big deal to the people who truly love them. Okay. So yeah, to his wife, I understand this is a huge deal, you know, and I can tell her I'm sorry for her loss because it still was her husband at the end of the day. You know, for the kids, probably a big thing. You know, I don't know how old his kids is. I just heard they pretty young, so I don't know. Maybe this kid is old enough to know what's going on. And you know, I would tell his children, you know, I'm sorry you lost your dad. You know, because I would be sorry for anybody who lost their dad. You know, I'd be sorry for any woman who lost her husband at the end of the day. Now, the thing is, Charlie Kirk said some interesting stuff, made some interesting moves and different things, y'all. And I do apologize, y'all. There was something going on with the links this morning where the links I was trying to put in, I was having a hard time getting them things to show up. So they're not even kind of in the order that I kind of wanted them in, but I think I got them in there enough. I think I got them in there enough. Now, what I am going to say, though, and I do get it, you know, Trump saying that this was a dark day for America. No, it's not. It's not. Charlie Kirk is a white man that got killed. Plenty of white men have been killed before. He ain't the first white man to get killed. And y'all, I'm pretty sure he will not be the last white man that gets killed. But at the end of the day, he's just a white man that got killed. Now, he had a big following. I noticed that because I went to his channel, I noticed that I believe he was at about 4.3 million. I believe it was. Okay. Now in America, I do understand the mourning of white people. No, there's white people who like them and they mourn them and it's a sad day for them. But let's not get this confused. Let's not get this confused. It's sunny out there for me. Okay. Now I'm not gonna laugh at no man for getting killed or something like that because I don't believe in that. I ain't gonna dance on no man's grave or I wouldn't do nothing. I think that's a little classless to celebrate the death of somebody. I do think that's classless. But what I do not want to put, you know, what I don't want to put out there is a dark day for everybody. No, it's not a dark day for everybody. You know, I decided a long time ago Charlie Kirk didn't need to be in my life. It's that simple at the end of the day. He was not something I needed in my life. Now, I wouldn't kill no guy like over something like that. Okay, I wouldn't kill a guy over something like that. The shooter, whoever he was, obviously had his reasons to do it. I think that's going a little far. You know, as an actual American, do I believe in freedom of speech? Yes. So yeah, let that man talk. That's my thing. Let that man talk. Why would you just pop him over something he said? Now, I'm not saying that's why he actually got killed, because you don't know. We don't know until we got to see what the shooter gonna say if they ever find out who the shooter is. And I'm pretty sure that they're gonna make a good effort to find out who the shooter is, because it is a white guy, and because of some of the stuff that Charlie Kirk represent, I'm pretty sure law enforcement is gonna make a nice effort to find out who that shooter is. But I ain't gonna put words in the shooter's mouth. We can go with some theories right now. Now, shout out to Terenzo Jones. He says, not to sidetrack the discussion at the Roger Report Live, yet respectfully asking, but have you written your book of knowledge yet, sir? No, I'm working on it. I did actually start working on it. Okay. But that's I do a whole lot of stuff, so I don't be having the time to sit down like I want to. Okay, I'm gonna say that I don't have the time to sit down like I want to. Y'all keep in mind, I'm not a full-time content creator. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Roger be busy, okay? Roger be busy. But I did sit down and start, and I'm taking on that task just because y'all want me to write the book. Because it wasn't my idea to write the book. It was y'all idea for me to write the book. But because I like y'all, because I love y'all, I'm sitting here like, let me get this thing done. Okay, let me get this thing done. So it is because of y'all that I'm doing it. Okay, so you know, bear with me. I'm gonna try to make it good though. I ain't gonna half do it now. I ain't half doing it. I'm trying to make it. I'm definitely trying to make it good. Real talk, y'all. Real talk. Shout out to T. Really. He say, Roger, you busy doing what? Hey, all kinds of stuff, man. All kinds of stuff, man. I gotta live a whole life too, y'all. I got to live a whole life too, you know? Real talk. Real talk. Okay. And you know what? Some people think because if you ain't got no kids and you ain't married, that you got all kinds of time on your hand. Not necessarily the case. A lot of times people think you free, so they try to get you to be busy helping them. And that's real talk, okay? That's real talk. All right. But you know, I'm not gonna take that as sidetracking anything. I'm not gonna even take that as a sidetrack. But I am gonna say, you know what? It's sad for people who love Charlie that they lost a friend. Okay, I'm gonna say that it's sad for people who love Charlie they lost a friend. Now, President Donald Trump saying it's a sad day for America, I totally disagree with that. Now, Charlie was a known guy. I don't think he was. I don't know if he was loved like that. I don't know if Charlie was loved like that. Well, we just gonna start saying it's a sad day for America. Now, I don't know about all that. Okay, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a grand amount of white people who like this man. Real talk. It's a grand amount of white people. Now, I am going to say this, though. Now that I got some of the clips in that I truly, truly wanted to see. Well, hold on. Let me read what he's saying, because, blessed the community. If my memory is correct, he did say that he is a conservative. If my memory right, he actually did say this about himself. So let's see where he's coming from. He says, I'm from Chicago. We grimy as F. And clown the dead for fun in this B. F-U mean hoes? Is that what that's supposed to be? H-E-A-U-X? Did you mean hoes right there? Well, are you saying you want to clown? You want to clown Charlie Kirk? I mean, the man died, man. Why are we going to clown him? I'm from Chicago. We grimy as F and clown the dead for fun in this B. Now, why would we clown him for dying, man? He's still dead at the end of the day. Why would you clown him for dying? Wait, man, you got these laughing emoji. Like, bro, I'm not getting what you're trying to say. I thought if anybody was like a Charlie Kirk fan, I thought that would probably be you. I thought you was didn't you say you was a conservative? Okay, blessed the community say, I'm clowning these dead ninjas. Keep up. Why would you clown them? They dead too. Why would you clown anybody who's dead? I don't get that. Okay, I don't. I mean, dancing on people's grave is not a nice thing to do. I don't care how you felt about a person. Okay, dancing on their grave, I don't think is the right thing to do. Okay, now Charlie Kirk, like I said, as I was going through his stuff, says he was a Christian man. Okay, yesterday might be the greatest day of his life. Because if you're a believer, the day you die is the greatest day of your life. If you are in the Lord's family, there is no better day than the day you die. But you got to understand that from a believer's perspective. If you are truly connected with God, if he see you as one of his, if your name is written in the book of life, your last day here is the greatest day of your life. When you was born, you was just born. You don't even remember that. If you die as one of his, that is the greatest day you ever actually lived. So if he is the Christian that they say he was, and I'm not going to judge, I'm going to say that is the greatest day of his life. He did his mission. His mission was complete. Now he gone, and he got some loved ones behind y'all. So anybody who wants to clown on the man for dying, I don't think that's the right move to make. It's not a mature thing at the end of the day. I just don't agree with the fact that, Donald Trump saying it was a dark day for America. Now, I do believe that Donald Trump was his friend, so I get it's probably a dark day for him. I do get that. Okay. I do get that. I'm sure it's a dark day for Charlie's loved ones, and Charlie had fans. I'm sure it's a dark day for Charlie's fans, but a dark day for America, I think that was just way too much of a stretch. Real talk. Okay. All right. Shout out to Ahmed Yahala 144. He says Charlie Kirk is going into slavery in the kingdom, Roger. Hey, I'm not saying what he's doing. It's not for me to judge, y'all. I only get to judge people's actions, y'all. You get to judge a tree by the fruited bears. I believe that was a reference to judging people's actions. I believe judging people's heart is for God and God alone. And I ain't messing with that. That's just real talk. I'm definitely not gonna clown the man because he died. I'm just saying the president saying it's a dark day for America was just way too much of a stretch, if you ask me. I personally do not think most Americans care that he's dead. I don't think most Americans care that he lived. You know, I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that's what I honestly believe the truth is. Most Americans don't care that he lived, and most Americans don't care that he died. He just wasn't that big. Okay? He just wasn't that big. You know? Now, we're going to give him credit for, he was big. Like I said, I went to his channel. I think it said 4.3 million. So obviously, the man has some fans out there. Now, I put in some links, y'all. Even though I had some trouble with it this morning, putting some links into the description. It was almost like the system was protecting. I ain't gonna say that happened, but it was almost like the system was protecting where the proper links wouldn't show. Now, I do know this about Charlie because see, my thing is people like to say what they think and what they feel. I like to go and see what people said out their own mouth. So to get me a slight refresher course since finding out the news that Charlie got off yesterday. Okay, I found it out, yesterday evening, technically. I don't know, it was about maybe around 6 p.m. or so that I found out that they took him out. Whoever the dude was. I'm assuming it's another white person, y'all. Now, I don't get this white people. I mean, this white on white crime. Well, you gonna kill that man just for talking, okay? I'm not saying I like what Charlie Kirk said. I literally heard this man years ago and then turned him off. That's all it was for me. Okay, you saying a bunch of nonsense that I don't agree with. You don't sound like the brightest guy to me. Don't sound like you think very well. You don't know how to process information, or you're just being extremely biased. Whatever it is, I just turned the guy off, man. I didn't see no reason to I didn't see no reason to go buy arms, or go pick up some new bullets or whatever so I can get the guy. I think that's way too far. That's kind of way too far. In America, our country is supposed to be one of the foundational things of our country should be freedom of speech. So now the thing is, if you're gonna kill a man just because you disagree with him, like, bro, that's crazy. That's crazy work. And the thing is, everyone has to remember what happened to Charlie Kirk could happen to anybody. Anybody might kill you over something you said. Okay, you don't have to be famous or nothing like that. Anybody can kill you over something you said. A lot of people get killed over something they said. Every time people get into an argument, somebody say, okay, wait right here. Obviously, that was over something they said. Nobody threw a blow. Nobody got hit. Okay, but somebody said, well, no, wait right here. Let me go to the trunk. It turns out that person was killed over something they said. So people, if you're trying to clown Charlie Kirk because he got killed, I don't. Do you really want to put that out? Do you want to reap what you sow in that scenario? I ain't gonna clown a man because he got killed. Okay, I'm not gonna shed no tear. I wasn't his fan, but I ain't finna clown no dude because he got killed. That's just that don't seem right, and it truthfully is not the smartest thing to do. It's just not the smartest thing to do. But I will say this, y'all. As I looked at some of his clips, and I specifically wanted to see if he what he had to say on reparations. Okay, and I did put a clip in. I guess it was maybe one of his more positive clips. I would say where he talked to the guy who said he's the anonymous guy. I tried to be fair to Charlie. Okay, I tried to be fair to Charlie. But Charlie's an interesting guy. And Charlie, he said some stuff that I agree with and some stuff that I don't. Just like Satan said some stuff that I agree with and some stuff that I don't. Because Satan will quote the Bible. Think about it. Now, I'm not the type of person that I find out something's in the Bible, I'm just going to quote unquote say, no, that ain't cool. No, even if I don't like it, I got to force myself to agree with it, point blank, period, even if I don't like it. But why am I saying that? Because even the worst of beings can say something that you agree with. The worst of beings can say something that you agree with. Satan had said things that's in the Bible. Okay? He know the Bible better than us. Okay? That don't mean I want to kick it with him. Okay? That don't mean I want to kick it with him. But I'm gonna say this. Okay? There is at least there's a chance that Charlie Kirk is in paradise, and so he good. Now, as I listened to the man talk and got a little refreshed about who he is as a person. All right. Of course, I'm not going to agree with everything that Charlie Kirk said. Some stuff I'm going to agree with. Now, the thing is, real talk. This man has a real huge ego about white people in America. And I think that's what kind of messed him up. His ego about white people in America was absolutely ridiculous. Okay, absolutely, and it came out. Okay, it came out in the words that he said. Okay, Charlie Kirk was saying what he wanted to say. Part of his job was going out there saying stuff that he wanted to have said. He wanted people to know what he was thinking. All right, so he put it out there. Now I'm pretty sure a white man killed him. Okay, because like I said, black folks, when it comes to murders, we don't usually snipe people. Okay, we had the case of a DC sniper, and that is the only case that I know of that's on record where a black person killed somebody by sniping them. It's like the only case, and he was trying to make people think he was white, which is why he chose to snipe people rather than just do something that would be more normal that you would expect a black person. He was trying to, make it look like a white person did it, which, truth be told, was a brilliant idea on his part. If you're going to try to get away with it, you got to try to get away with it. And he definitely was trying, because he said, I'm going to do something that's going to look so off that you ain't going to even look for a black guy. So I totally understand that mode of thinking in that context. Okay, I do get that. All right. Now, Charlie, if you listen to what he said, you can come off with the idea that Charlie doesn't like black people. That is very easy to do. Okay. Now, he talked about merit based, versus getting ahead on color. And the crazy part is, for him to be such a person in tune with politics, he would argue things about civil rights. And he said civil rights was a problem. How do you know politics and you think civil rights was a problem for white people? Because that's what he literally said. Civil rights was an issue for white people because white people who qualify cannot get into positions they qualify for because somebody had a different race than they had. Now, how stupid you got to be as a white man to actually believe something like that? Now, I mean, let's just take a realistic view of what's happening. That's why I say this ain't no dark day for America. Okay. I understand it could be a dark day for Trump. Okay. It could be definitely a dark day for Trump. Okay. But, Charlie say it's hard for a white man because he can't get where he need to be because of somebody else's skin color. Now, I ain't never met that white man. I'm gonna tell you, I done met a lot of white people in my life. What I've never ran across, okay? No disrespect, but I'm just telling the truth, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You know, part of what I do at this show is tell the truth. I do everything I can to make sure people ain't pushing false narratives. You know, we can all feel some type of way about the truth, but the truth don't stop being the truth because you feel some type of way. And I can just tell you straight up, what I ain't never came across in my life, not one single time, what I ain't never came across is some white man who was overqualified for his position. I have not come across that, y'all. I have not not one time. Nowhere in this country have I met a white man who was overqualified for his position. And that's just real talk. Have I met some black men who've been overqualified? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't work with them. But I cannot tell you that I've ever worked with a white man, went to some place where white people work. I ain't never seen an overqualified white man in a position. I ain't seen that one time. Have I met some underqualified white folks in position? Oh, I absolutely have. I absolutely have. Truth be told, I've met white men who were underqualified to the point that I expect underqualified white people. I literally tell people, man, when you go out in society, knowing they're going to be dealing with a bunch of white folks, and y'all can say what y'all want. I'm just telling you, this is what I tell people I love so they can understand how to move about the world. I say, you got to expect these people to be idiots. Your problem is you think they know something. Your problem is you acting like they smart. Start expecting them to be stupid, and then it'll be easier for you to operate because you're not going to put expectations on them that they're not going to be able to handle. Okay? Now, anybody can say whatever they want to say about that, but ever since I've been treating white people like they stupid, life got way easier. I don't put expectations on them like they know what they doing. Okay? And I'm going to say it again. One thing I've never came across was a white man who was overqualified. It ain't never happened to me. Okay? Now, I understand it's a big country. It's hundreds of millions of us in this country. I am not going to say that just maybe somewhere there might be some overqualified white man doing some job. It might exist, but it's definitely not at a level that you happen to come across it. So when Charlie Kirk says something like, you know, civil rights is stopping white men from getting where they need to be, how politically astute are you? Because you don't sound very politically astute at all. And I'm just keeping it real. I understand, and y'all, with a subject matter like this, I know it may be a couple new people who come in here, and y'all may not like it. I'm going to tell the truth, regardless of how you feel about it. What none of us can do is change history. We can feel some type of way about it, but we can't change it. It is what it is. So, you know, his positions come across very asinine to me a lot of times, which is why I tell y'all, I turned that man off years ago. Now, I don't know what the presumed white guy who shot him, I don't know what his problem is. I wouldn't kill Charlie Kirk over him giving his opinions and all that type of stuff, or him just saying whatever nonsense he gonna say. I just turned him off. I didn't think he was worth killing. You know, I just turned him off. But you know, y'all know how white people do. White people sometimes think that that person is gaining too much power, so I got to take him out. And you know what? Some people say, well, what if it do turn out to be a black guy? I'm going to tell y'all what the truth is. Not that I agree or disagree, but I'm going to tell you what the truth is. If we come to find out in information that a black person got him, a large group of black people are probably going to be proud of that person. That's real talk. Probably be proud of. Not saying it's a good thing. People, especially in this country, should be able to say what they believe in, say why they come to the ideas they come to and things like that. But Charlie Kirk, to me, just didn't come off as a very bright man. He just didn't. Okay, because he made arguments that were so stupid, I couldn't see him as a bright man. I am not saying other people couldn't. I'm just saying he said so much stupid stuff, I couldn't see him as that smart of a guy. And I didn't want to waste my time watching an idiot. It just is what it is. And keep in mind, I've said before, y'all, you can be brilliant in some areas, but completely slow in another area. And I'm not saying he wasn't brilliant in some area. He must have been a good businessman some kind of way, or he had the right people around him pushing him forward. But at the end of the day, when I heard him speak, he just didn't sound too bright. It just is what it is on that note. Now, just because the man died, don't mean that wasn't my opinion of him when I used to hear him. Again, y'all, I went and started researching, man, because I knew the man got killed. I'm gonna have to do a show on the dude, content purposes. I try to make sure my content is solid, and which I believe is one of the reasons that I get so much trouble with having channels, because I actually do solid content. Okay. And I don't play about stuff the way other people do. But I'm not going to act like I didn't think this man was saying a bunch of idiotic stuff just because he died. Hey, hopefully he went to paradise. Okay. It came out that he's supposed to have a lot of Christian beliefs. So hopefully he in paradise. But I thought the man said a bunch of idiotic stuff. And I used some of that in some stuff that I thought was kind of stupid today. Because I thought he made a great argument that his kids should get nothing in one of the clips that I put in, but we'll get to that later. Right now, I want to give the floor to Mr. X because he came up, and I want to let Champ Crop for Life get in right behind that. So, Mr. X, you have the floor, my brother. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, good morning. Shout out to you, Roger. I'm glad you're talking about this, so we can, go ahead and get it on out of the way. And I'm sure it'll come up 6 to 9 months from now. But we can do it in low-level reference. But here's the thing with Mr. Kirk, and this is where I disagree with you a bit. You said that he wasn't saying stuff that was smart, or that he didn't sound smart, or maybe he might not be smart.
When I saw him speaking, he wasn't saying things that I thought was intelligent. That's what I saw. Keep in mind, I said I did listen to this man when I first came across him. He sounded so stupid to me, I stopped listening to this man. I didn't go shoot him or nothing. I just stopped listening to him because he didn't come across smart to me.
I got you. Yeah. So I'm going to say he actually is very intelligent. He's an incredibly intelligent, bright, and he was, and articulate and a whole bunch of other things. The problem is that he misused it. That would be my issue with him. Is that when he would talk about issues and problems, look, he had enemies. He developed enemies all over the place. He talked about everybody, right? Everybody from feminists to minorities that include, Arabs, Muslims, Hispanics, migrants, people undocumented, LGBT. So he talked about everybody, right? And, so anybody could have been mad at him enough to actually, want to take him out. And I'm not even ruling out the fact that somebody in his own party or somebody in his own affiliation, somebody close to him, felt like, hey, you know what? You're getting a little bit too big for your britches. I need to deal with this. So I'm not ruling any of that out. Now, here's my issue as it relates to Mr. Kirk. My issue was that when he talked about he made his bones talking about black people, black men specifically. That's where he really got his come up. And what this shows is that in America, if you basically dump all over black men on a regular basis and you do it all day long, then people will approve of it, and you can get famous and you can say what you want, and people will say it's free speech and you can't get mad at it and all this other stuff. Look, I have no issue. Interestingly enough, I have no issue with what it was he was saying. His critiques of black Americans, black culture, black anything. The thing is that he failed to include nuance. He never provided context. He's sitting up there. I'll just take this one thing. I know you want to talk about reparations. We'll get into it a little bit more in detail. He's talking about, well, black people, it's 150 plus years removed from the end of enslavement. And black people could have done stuff at this point to make themselves better, to invest and do all these other great amazing things to be equal or at least on par with everybody else. The problem is, Mr. Kirk, when black people did exactly all of those things, he's leaving out the fact that there was deliberate sabotage, undermining, destruction, and theft, and even taking the lives of our great black leaders, the men, some of the women, and even the children. And there was a deliberate effort to make sure black people got obstacles at every point. So this is what he's leaving out, and that's my whole issue with him and people like him, is that they deliberately exclude context, they deliberately exclude nuance. The idea that you're going to say, the Civil Rights Movement, or not Civil Rights Movement, but the Civil Rights Act, 1964 Civil Rights Act was a problem, that it shouldn't have happened. Basically, you're saying black people don't deserve rights. Like this is the takeaway when I hear people like him. And you know, I know other people came up, and I'll kind of end it right here. Is that, you know, this is how he finished. This is how he started his week. He started his week basically dumping on black men, right? You know, that incident with that Ukrainian woman on the train. Instead of making it about mental health and, you know, issues with the criminal justice system and actually demonizing the system and all this other stuff, he used that as an opportunity to stir up his base and actually, you know, try to blame all black men for the actions of this one black man. Now, here's the thing with him. When he talks about, you know, whenever somebody in his race does something, he makes sure to individualize it and make sure to point out that, well, that doesn't represent all white men. You know, all of us are not like that. But that's how he comes off. That's how he presents himself. And that's how he presents his argument. So, yeah, he knows what it is he's doing. He was very articulate and intelligent. The thing is that he misused it. And when you have a platform like that, this is how and why, you know, people look at you sideways and anybody who talks like you. I'll go ahead and land right there.
Okay, well, I appreciate that because I know it's a lot to get off and things like this, y'all. I'm just gonna say that's a heck of a 2 minutes. That's all I'm saying. And
I got a lot, Roger. I got a lot.
I know you do. I know you do. Shout out to Afro Merchant, y'all. Now, see, y'all. This is now. Mr. X just said some stuff that why I say the dude come off as an idiot sometimes, because of certain things you just said. But I'm gonna talk about this real quick from Afro Merchant, who put in. Now this is something that Charlie Kirk was talking about. He said, "I see a black pilot. I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified." Now I actually just this morning heard him discussing this quote that he made with somebody else. So I already know this is a real quote. Because as I said, I'm re-familiarizing myself with Charlie Kirk, you know, for the sake of the show, because I've been turned the guy off years ago. And I'm going to say this, y'all. This is a true idiot statement. If I see a pilot, black, white, or otherwise, I'm not going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. I'm not getting on that plane. I don't get on airplanes hoping somebody qualified to fly. If I have any doubt that you can fly the plane, I'm not on that plane. It's that simple to me. This is stupid. Okay? It's just stupid. And he says stuff like this, which is why, and I'm just saying this because I know some people are gonna say, well, man, Roger, I don't know how you could just say the guy sounds stupid. No, I heard him say stuff like this. He just makes a bunch of stupid statements, and I be hearing them. That's all I'm saying. This is a complete. I hope he qualified. No, if I don't really believe he qualified, I just don't get on the plane. And they say the man was married with some kids. I definitely wouldn't put my wife and kids on the plane, and I got to hope he qualified. No, I'm sure he's a qualified pilot, or we not on that plane. It's that simple at the end of the day. But let me go and get the champ card for life so we can also get Mrs. Z in. We done got Mrs. Z here too. So we doing all right. Go ahead, champ. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Happy Thursday and everything else. Wow. All I can say is, brother, you know, is karma, and that the spirit of our ancestors, you know, who built this nation, you know, despite the fact that we have been lynched, castrated, you know, name called and everything else, despite all the obstacles and everything else, I feel like the spirit of our ancestors were the ones that took him out, or maybe the spirit of John Brown took him out and everything else. Because, you know, I've been listening to this guy for maybe over the last 10 years. He started at the age of 18, and if you guys don't know, he wanted to go to West Point, and he didn't qualify to go to West Point and everything else. And so he went to a community college and he dropped out. And he kind of took the Alex Jones route and everything else. Basically started his podcast. He, you know, started with the right wing and everything else. That seems like that's the big money people, you know, who will pay you and everything else to say a lot of dog whistle things and everything else. And that's what he did. And he started off, you know, talking about how Trayvon Martin got what he deserved. George Floyd died from fentanyl. Martin Luther King was a flawed man and everything else. And, you know, I mean, he was just using a lot of racial dynamite and everything else that a lot of these billionaire far right wing people are using. You know, people like, you know, Charlie Cook and others and everything else, even black folk, even young black people and everything else who got a lot of self hatred and everything else. And so, you know, I mean, like 2 days ago with that one lady who was killed in Ukraine. This happened 2 weeks ago, and it just story just brought up and everything else. And he was just using a lot of racial dynamite and everything else. So my thing is that this, you know, you reap what you sow and everything else, and it just goes to show you, you know, too, that majority of this country, you know, a lot of these people, you know, the dominant society, they're not on code and everything else. And sometimes it takes some person, you know, who comes from, you know, who maybe comes, who sometimes it comes from a person, you know, who's into civil rights, human rights, and everything else that says enough of this man. I'm going to have to take him out and everything else. Just like how John Brown, you know, got sick and tired of seeing black people enslaved and getting beaten and everything else. You know, with this, with what he did with his rebellion. So, you know, shout out to the ancestors and everything else. And I'll land my plane there.
Okay, now I do want to take this moment out because I know some Charlie Kirk fans may come to this stream. Y'all, as I researched Charlie Kirk and tried to refamiliarize myself with who he was and what he talking about, it came up that he was a Christian man. So I want to remind everybody. I understand that you're mad at the shooter. I get it, it's a natural thing. But if Charlie was a Christian man, that means even he believed in forgiveness. So y'all make sure y'all forgive the shooter. Forgiveness is a big deal. Okay. To my understanding, if you don't forgive people, God won't forgive you. So you keep that in mind. Y'all, it's a time for forgiveness here now. It's a time for forgiving. You may be upset that Charlie is gone, but you got to forgive the shooter. Okay? You got to forgive the shooter. Just keep that in mind. Miss Z, you have the floor, my brother.
What's going on, yo? What's going on, panel chat? Thank you for having me up, Raj. Am I coming in clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, you know, Mr. Kirk was 31 years old, 2 children, if I'm not mistaken, 1 and 3. And I too was refamiliarizing myself with Kirk, although I stayed listening in here and there, maybe a bit more than many of you. Obviously, I wasn't a fan of Mr. Kirk. Yes, he threw Martin Luther King under the bus. He pretty much tried to just minimize Martin Luther King Jr. Place in American history. The myth of Martin Luther King, as he would say. This man said a lot of incendiary stuff, a lot of anti-black stuff, and not just anti-black, right? So we have someone who said a lot of incendiary things. He's not the only one. You know, there's a number of these folks who they go on tour. I am not about deleting someone necessarily for talking, although we know throughout human history it's definitely happened. Especially on a college campus, because that is the whole point of college and university, right? Is the battle of ideas, is to have your ideas challenged, and to sharpen you, right? So on a college campus, especially in the middle of a debate, I mean, that is the whole point of a university and college education. It's really not about the money. I think we have a skewed worldview because of the system we live in. It causes us to think it's about the money. No. It has become that, but that's not the original intent. Okay. But we're dealing with someone, you know, who has said things about, you know, that little slice of Europe in the Middle East, and pretty much acting like those people don't exist. If y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. The people that getting their neck stomped right now.
We got you.
Right. So in the middle, so he was in the middle of a debate, actually. And yeah, it was. I agree with Raj. If for those of you who didn't see the video, you got to be careful with it. It depends on your sensibilities. Once you see him get hit, he's out of there. There's no saving him. It was done. It was done. Hit in the neck, yeah, and it was done. The blood. It almost seemed like it was something out of a movie, right? With that, in the middle of him, with the incendiary language, we're talking about someone who would do the whole, black people are 13% of the population, but yet commits 50% of the crime. We're talking about all the Ben Shapiro-ish lines. This doesn't condone necessarily what happened to him. What we are saying is, when you are a person who has more than controversial takes, because it's not simply controversial takes, what you are attempting to do is to keep a social order. And I want black folks to really appreciate this, because I think black folks forget that they black, right? And so you align yourself with other folks, oftentimes, mainly because you're angry with your people, and you don't really appreciate why he's saying what he's saying or why she's saying what she's saying is not exactly the same reason you're saying it. More than often, unless you're okay with the current pyramid. If you're not okay with the current pyramid, then your frustration with other black folks and them maybe not being necessarily respectable enough for you or disciplined enough for you is not why that person's saying what they're saying. Mr. Z appreciates when a person calls me the N-word. They don't have to use the N-word with the hard ER. Once we start speaking about IQ, I realize they're calling me the N-word. Once we start speaking about impulse control, I realize they're calling me the N-word. Once we start speaking about culture and defective culture and wrong culture, I realize they're calling me the N-word. For other black folks, they got to be in Auschwitz to realize, oh, wait, this whole time, they were walking me into the ovens. Mr. Z don't got to wait until I'm in the oven to realize I'm in the oven. And Charlie Kirk was definitely one of those folks. I realize and appreciate that people have political affiliations. That's not something we're going to get rid of. And that includes black people. What I would caution black people with, that's everyone from the political right all the way to the political left. Be careful what you're aligning with, because it sounds good. And that non-black person, why are they saying what they're saying? Is it for the same reasons that you believe it? And what are you signing up for exactly? Mr. Kirk was about maintaining a social, political, economic pyramid scheme. You could say what you want. He was about maintaining that. Just like the Fuentes is about maintaining that. Even though he's a small hat, just like Shapiro is about maintaining that. And yeah, they're going to have infighting between this sector white and that sector white, but they're all in agreement about maintaining a certain pyramid. And that's what Mr. Kirk was about. So what he was saying, what he was about, the lecture tours, I definitely seen him get flummoxed. I seen him catch people up, right? So appreciate, we're talking about someone that's 31, wife, kids. Mr. Z is not about that. Especially from my understanding, his wife was there. That is a horrible sight. That is a horrible idea, to think that, your wife sees you take your last breath. She sees you get slumped. That's a horrible, that's a nightmare. That's gonna be playing in her mind for the rest of her life. With that, this is not the first time we've had a political assassination, nor will it be the last. You got to be careful what you saying out here and how you moving, because people will be gunning for you. Especially, appreciate this dude was spoke about, and I'm gonna end out in 30 seconds, Raj. He was not about empathy, his own words. He thought it was a new age made up thing. Number one. His words, not Mr. Z's not putting those words, those were his words. That's number one. Number two, dude said, he knows that some people are going to be sacrificed for the Second Amendment. His words. This is not Mr. Z putting that in his mouth. Look, Mr. Z get deleted. Mr. Z wants you to be empathetic. Mr. Z wants you to call the family, cry, give your condolences. Mr. Z said yes for the empathy and the sympathy. You hear me? Right? But dude said he's not about the empathy, and he believes that certain folks are going to be sacrificed for the Second Amendment. I'm just putting that out. These were his words. Y'all see, Mr. Z got his own channel. The way I speak, I am mindful that I could be on the wrong side of whatever the hell. That's why I'm careful. I know it don't look like I'm careful most of the times, but Mr. Z is careful what he's saying, what he advocates for. And I'll pause right there.
I'm gonna say, look like he stood 10 toes down if he said that some people have to be sacrificed for the Second Amendment. Well, it seems like he was correct as of yesterday.
You know something we had real quick, Raj, my apologies. You know something we had in South Florida. One of the ladies that well, in Florida, I'm sorry, not South Florida. In Florida, we had a lady that was she was big on not having to wear your helmet when you're on a bike, a motorcycle, right? The lady, I think she helped to get it repealed or to get it passed that you don't have to wear a helmet when you're on your bike. And y'all already know where this is going. She died on a bike with no helmet.
But
like that,
I do agree with stuff like that because I believe the government ain't supposed to be in control of the people. The people need to understand the government work for us. Now, my thing is, you know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if he died over the Second Amendment because I need to know what the shooter said he killed him for. Everything until the shooter says why he got him, or we find some information out, like he left a letter or something. We don't know why he got killed. He could have been killed for stuff he was saying about things going on overseas. He could have been could have been killed for stuff that he's saying right here in America. Charlie said a lot of stuff that would give him an abundance of enemies at the end of the day.
For real.
You know, now it could be a crazy person, but I think the shooter was just too good to dismiss it as a crazy person.
Oh no, that shooter was professional. I want you to I don't want to get into the dynamics of this too much, but think about what you have to do in order to make that shot. That's a relatively stationary target, a semi-stationary, because he could have moved at any second, right, and saved his own life. So you got to take that shot at the right time, trajectory, distance, crowd, wind, deviation. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into a fact. Cold barrel, hot barrel, all this other stuff. You get one chance and one chance only, right? And by the way, snipers usually go for the head. It's generally a headshot because that's actually more certain versus a nick, which is what he really got, but it was a really good one. So all of that being said, that's professional work. And here's another thing too, just kind of level set the conversation. Black people are not involved in this. That's the one. Look, nobody can put black people in this, and I'd love to see you try. First of all, Utah, 1.1% of the population in Utah is even black. All right, so over 75% of the population is white. He was at a primarily white institution, surrounded by white people. All of his conservatives, people who met his ideology and agreed with him pretty much. Maybe there were some dissenters, but for the most part, that was his group, that was his people. There's some Hispanics there, there's a small population, but my whole point is that black people are not involved in this. And the thing is that, like I said at the beginning, he started his week basically generating anger against black men as a collective, not demonizing that one black man and then the system that kind of, created that problem in the first place. He said, look, this is where we are. Look at all of these criminals. Now we got to, you got to use this one guy as an avatar for all black men. And for the people who say that's not what he's doing, I'm telling you, you cannot convince me. I'm telling you, or you'll lie, because that's exactly what he's doing. Because if he wanted to actually drill it down to that one person, then he would say that right from the rip. When you say 13% of the population commits 50% of the crime, you're demonizing every black person in America, specifically black men. That's the point of you saying that. Because if you wanted to actually say something more effective and truthful, which is there's a small percent of the black population, which is a little less than 1%, committing a certain amount of crime, then you can actually say that, and I don't have any argument. But when you say it's 13%, you're condemning and demonizing the entire group. That is your point of saying that. That's absolutely what you're doing, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Once you specifically say the 13%, that means you're talking about the 13%. Now, I'm gonna say this real quick, then I'm gonna give it to you, Champ Car. Nobody should be surprised, man. Charlie Kirk is just another victim of white-on-white crime. I don't understand, but no, I do. But I'm just saying it for for commentary reasons. I don't understand why people don't get white on white crime, because at this point, I'm going to presume that the shooter was a white person, because I'm not gonna tell y'all black people ain't great snipers. From information I know, sounds like the best snipers are black men. But we don't usually commit murders doing sniping. We don't. That's not a normal way to murder somebody for a black person. And that's why I say, even with the DC shooter, the only person I know recorded where a black man committed a crime being a sniper, he was trying to make people think it was a white person, which is literally why he chose that way of going about it. He was not trying to make you think it, and it worked. For a good long time, we all thought it was a white person. So let's just keep it real. Black people don't normally commit crimes like this. But to be surprised that Charlie Kirk is the victim of white on white crime is almost crazy to me. Don't y'all know who commit crimes in America for real? I understand what people say, but if you just watch the news, you can see it, man. But let me go ahead, Champ Carter. You was trying to get something in. Go ahead, my brother.
Let me say this. You know what his last words were? He got shot. He was, the guys, the people who were asking him questions about who were the ones that were committing all the gun violence and everything else, the mass shootings. And when he was trying to flex, saying it's gangster culture, something like gangster.
He said, "Are you talking about gang violence?" That's what he said.
Yeah, gang violence.
Yep.
His last
Literally
word was gang violence, and then boom, he got shot and everything else. That was it. That was it. One thing I want to say this too. They're trying to indirectly suggest that, even though this was the white person that may have done that, probably did this.
More than likely, it was a white person who did.
Yeah, well, they're trying. Well, some of the people, on social media, especially on Twitter, they're trying to indirectly.
Black people in this.
Well, to some extent, they are, because we're not showing.
Absolutely not.
No, the thing is, people are going to try, but black people do not commit murders by sniping people.
Yeah, but
that is not something we do.
Okay, but here, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a metaphor. You remember when Jack Johnson was beating all these white fighters and everything else, and every time we were, and every time he won, we had a low key, stay silent and everything else, because if we were cheering and everything else, black people were getting lynched and getting beat up and everything else. Well, let me tell you. Well, when Charlie Kirk got shot and killed, yesterday and everything, it was almost like we had to be silent and everything else and not celebrate.
Man, we ain't got to be silent. He got shot by his own people 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who need to be silent?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're going to try to go up there and attack us and say, "Oh, you black people have no humanity for this man. You guys are this and that and everything."
Man,
yeah.
People need to just see. This is the thing, y'all. We don't need to make it an issue with us. Just treat Charlie the way Charlie recommended. Because y'all talking about
empathy. That's what his words were.
That's what I'm saying. We should show no empathy and everything else.
So look, my thing is this. He's just some dead white guy to me. Okay, I wasn't no fan of Charlie Kirk. I said before, I've listened to Charlie Kirk. I saw that he was saying such asinine things. I found it a better use of my time to listen to anybody but him. Now, I wouldn't kill him over no words. I do believe freedom of speech is a great thing because of how it can change the world. Now, at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk just didn't like black people, and he made that very much clear. But I'm got a whole lot more to say, but I want to let Nameless get in, because Nameless done came up. So we're gonna give it to the Nameless protagonist.
Go ahead. I gotta hear this.
All right, the Nameless protagonist, you have the floor, my brother.
To the chat and the instructors on the panel. Os.
Yes.
I had a lot to say on this. And there's a measure of disappointment I have with what I'm hearing about all of this so far. And it's absolutely not for the reasons that people would assume it would be. which is why I have to temper myself and remember things are different when you see the bigger picture. I know you guys have heard me talk about lately this idea of political Mandalorianism. And if you haven't, I highly suggest you go and take a look at my channel and really examine the latest content I did about political Mandalorianism. I've got all the axioms there. I've got all the appendixes there. And they deal with this exact situation. And it was so important I did that. I saw that as the first axiom, I made a bold statement and simply reminding people that political parties are tools, not religions, not families, not identities. They are cardinal directions that you use, and they are there to serve your interests, not the other way around. I think people are missing the takeaway here. It's less about what actually happened, and it was far, far more about the way in which this happened and the context under which this happened, which echoes something Malcolm X said about not only chickens coming home to roost, but what goes around comes around. I want people to understand what this was truly about. When we talk about what this man stood for, allegedly, this dude who was deleted, he was assassinated. That's what that was. This is a question of First Amendment and the extent to which it can go. And we need to understand that everything this man has said from when he started his career was reactionary conservatism. Reactionary conservatism. He was reacting to everything we've seen from a particular institution that I won't get into detail here, but has some very specific ways of going about doing things. I think it's a measure of missing the point if you think that what he was talking about was purely because of us. We were just part of that engine that's been used to influence political thought since at least the 60s. All of this is secondary. All of it. Fundamentally, everything this man stood for was a controlled opposition to the thesis that was put forward and influenced everything almost we've seen, which we got caught up in with regard to the left. This left and right dichotomy is nothing more than what we understand as this controlled opposition modality. When he got assassinated like that, it's opening the door for a completely different way of going about politics. Because for now, it's, he said this thing I didn't like. Tomorrow, somebody else can say something else entirely different, unrelated to that. But because this precedence has been set, now you get targeted. Understand that these are just concepts and placeholders. We could be arguing over whether or not somebody is getting some sort of implant or chip, or we could be having the argument over who's using any sort of particular technology or other modality in the very, very near future. Right now, we're talking about race, or the way people choose to live, or ascribing one group of people as being the source of all of these problems. These things could be anything else in the near future, to include and not be limited to us. The moment you say something and someone else doesn't agree to it, and you're in a society where you got to lean in on the First Amendment as a protection method, and that's very clear that it's not working, I hope you have a damn army. I hope you have an intelligence agency that can work on your behalf. I hope you have an intelligence institute that can find out individuals that may have the capacity to set that up so you can defend against it. I hope if you say something, you've got some sort of security team, technology that can pinpoint some of these things, that can trace the logistics of folks who could do this to you. I hope you have some form of pushback other than truth to power. Because any and everything you say in the very near future is about to become political. And when you open the gate for that to happen, it can definitely happen to you the same way. Today it's him. Don't be surprised if it's somebody else, especially some of us that are talking here, that could get targeted under the same exact logic. That's the only thing I really want to remind people of. You can be cool with that and celebrate it. I'm not ascribing any right or wrong to it. I'm saying understand what this actually is. Because what's happened to him can happen to anybody.
Well, I'm gonna say that, people get killed every day for talking. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be rich. As I said earlier, it's been plenty of people who heard something like, "Stay right here. I'm finna go to the trunk." Now, ain't nobody fought nobody. That means somebody died over something they said. It happens every day. And I also gonna say, I do agree with that. And I said earlier, y'all, I don't believe in celebrating people's death. I don't care if you don't like them. It's not a smart idea to celebrate somebody dying. It's just not smart. Okay, because what goes around can come around. And when it comes around, do you really want it to be you? So I don't think it's intelligent for anybody. So we're not going to celebrate his death, but I am going to let people know what the truth is. Anybody could have killed Charlie because Charlie said enough stuff to make a bunch of enemies. Just is what it is. And it could have been something about what's going on in America. It could be about stuff that's going on overseas. At the end of the day, it's a multitude of reasons somebody might have got him, but it's white on white crime. Why do you expect anything less?
So I want to speak to something that Nero was talking about, right? So I actually agree with you, right? Because it is bigger than kind of what we're talking about. First Amendment, under attack. If you say something, here's the thing, and as it relates to what how he presented himself specifically, especially his rhetoric. If you're going to exercise that First Amendment, I expect you have a responsibility to the people that you're putting it out to be truthful. See, that would be my issue with this, is that he would openly lie or distort information or exaggerate, but a lot of times he just openly flat out lie. And when you do that, you're doing that for a reason. And see, when you're intentionally putting out misinformation and you use it as rhetoric in order to generate a response, especially when that response is based on false information and untruths and open lies. You're not using that. That's irresponsible use of your First Amendment authority.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that, and I want to make something clear because it's very easy to misconstrue what I'm saying. Very easy. I'm not excusing that. All I'm saying is he's not the only one to do this. The overwhelming majority of what we do within the space is because that's been leveraged against us on public TV since forever. You can go back right now and go take a look at shows from the 90s where people are talking cash shit, excuse my language, Roger, cash money garbage on black men in particular. Over stats, we can point to them clear as day in black and white. We've seen this happen everywhere. Ain't nobody going after Oprah. Don't nobody go after Ricky Lake. Don't nobody go after the movies that are making us look like absolute trash. I'm just saying.
All right, y'all hold fast because I got somebody new up here, and I don't get no bad vibes, but I want them to be able to talk because I don't think it's the person I know.
Well, I didn't get my also.
Oh, that is you. Okay,
yeah, that's hot sauce.
No. Sometimes people become y'all.
Let me tie this up. Let me tie this up because I want to make sure I get this out clear as day, so that again, my point isn't misconstrued. I am only saying, keep in mind that there is an intention to manipulate both sides on this to get people to miss that bigger picture. If you're wondering why everyone's tying him getting shot to black men somehow, some way, shape, or form, because that's another part that's been circling around X, that's why. Ever since that situation with that chick in Charlotte, this reactionary conservatism has been stirring up, trying to find ways of justifying more conflict and more aggression. And what I'm saying is black men are being primed to get caught in the crossfire behind all of this crap. All of this crap.
Now, and the only thing I'm going to say about that is, as black men, y'all need to just stop accepting narratives, stand for truth. It's a white guy until otherwise proven. Why do we know? Why are we saying white guy? Because it came through a sniping. Black men don't have a record of sniping people. It just is what it is. The only guy we know that did one was trying to come off as a white man. So at the end of the day, I can't hold this for you. I know people want to put it in my hands as a black man. I just got to tell them I can't hold this one for you. You gotta have to hold this one yourself. And the thing is, y'all, stop playing with other people's narratives. Stop. They ain't your boss. Why do they give you a narrative and you got to play with their narrative? They're not your boss. Just do stuff the way it needs to be done. I ain't doing none of that. I came on here saying this is not a dark day for America. It's a dark day for his family. I get that. His close friends. I get that. Maybe some of his fans. But for America, this ain't no dark day. He's just some right dude that got shot. He ain't the first. He ain't going to be the last. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not going to dance on his grave or encourage celebration because he is dead. I think there could be a silver lining because he said he had Christian beliefs. So maybe he went to paradise, which means it was the best day of his life when he got shot. But at the end of the day, this ain't that big a deal for me. It's just not. I'm just covering it because it's news. But he is a true reflection of an unsupervised white person. I don't think he even that smart. I just think he had smart people around him that wanted to push him toward the forefront. That's what I honestly believe. The guy don't come off that smart to me. He come off as a stupid person. And I just think this stupid person, because of the different things he was willing to say, smart people put him out front. That's what I believe. Real talk. But let me get it just got real in here so he can give his open statement. Go ahead, my brother.
Salute to you, Roger. Salute to the panel. Hope everybody's doing well. So first I want to say shout out to all my sinners. One more spot in hell just got filled. So if you outlast enough niggas, you might make it to heaven by default. I think we need to stop repeating what's on the news and all this and that. Look, when white people get angry, they get violent. The homie, Penn alum, he got rejected from assurance, and he said, "No, I ain't having it." Pop, close range. Probably some LGBT white dude had enough, and said, "I ain't having it." Right? Remy from Higher Learning had enough, and he said, I ain't having it. Right? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's a little bit surprising that, now this is my opinion, not the Roger Report, that the LGBT is getting down like that now. But at the end of the day, this is America. Right? And in America, when you had enough, people get active. And this goes back to my other point, because this is where Trump done messed up. When Trump got rid of DEI and it showed that black people were still doing fine, white people had their wake-up call. The niggas are doing better. And what did I have told you guys over and over and over? America needs to believe that black people are at the bottom of the barrel for their mental health. I've told you that multiple times. Now they're seeing that, we've inherited lies. Now white people getting active.
Well, my bad. Go ahead.
So at the end of the day, I mean, I don't really know this brother. I mean, I disagree with the title. He wasn't beamed up. He was beamed down. But I don't. Other than that, I don't know this white nigga from a can of paint. But I know what he was about. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like when you take away the decadent veil, right? That's when the Viking comes out. And so I agree with Nameless. It's bigger than that. White people are losing their mental health. So you're going to see white people do white people things. Like, we got that song, right? Real nigga do real things. Well, white people going to do real things. I pass the mic.
Hey, Roger.
I think.
Roger, can I say something real quick that nobody didn't talk about yesterday? There was a school shooting yesterday in Evergreen, Colorado.
That's so true.
That's actually what they were bringing up just before he got shot, fam.
Yeah.
But and this is why I'm saying this left-right dichotomy in white America is way hotter and more aggressive than anything we're talking about. And what I don't like seeing is a complacency behind being a political ladder that everybody gets to leverage us as both scapegoats and freaking mascots for both sides of this conversation and argument. We don't have any self-defense mechanism to deal with this crap. Because everybody just rides out on a narrative of their choosing, claiming that it's my choice, I do what I want. That's cool, you can. But when you flag yourself for these narratives, you're playing into a controlled thesis antithesis modality. It's no different than psyops. I'm gonna have a discussion about the Frankfurt School and psyops because I think people are not understanding what I'm trying to highlight here. And if you only have an understanding of what's been presented to you in public school and the media, this makes no sense because this looks too cut and dry. Like, this white dude died. Why do I care? And anybody talking about it other than, oh, he did, it's going over everyone's head. This doesn't look like any different than anything else anyone else has ever heard of before.
There's a hold on. Okay. Let me say this. First of all, I'm not even aware of the school shooting. Okay, did a black guy?
It was in Colorado. No. I think it was some alphabet stuff again.
I mean, so is it white people killing more white people?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is, y'all, this is normal. This is America. You know what I'm saying? This is what. How many times I got to tell y'all, white people have a culture of killing, stealing, and destroying. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. They can play it down in the media, but if you just look at reality and stop accepting everybody else's narratives, this is what they do. I'm not saying I'm happy Charlie Kirk got killed, but I ain't surprised either. The man said enough inflammatory stuff that he was throwing stones at some everybody. You throw enough stones, at one point somebody gonna pick up a brick and bust you upside your head with it. That's real world stuff. So Charlie went out his way to throw stones at folks. He is the quintessential unsupervised white person. That's what he was.
I think but okay, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mrs. Z. Get your point in. Get your point in.
And thanks, Ross. I see where Nameless is coming from with the precedent, right? Like we understand, like, this is American precedent. So I got to put that on the table first. With that, the incendiary language that leads to being deleted in a public square, I think, like, moving the Overton window here, especially in this time, right? So, this is a very contentious time. And BGS somebody's background.
Everybody just mute up. Mute up.
Yeah. BGS was speaking about this earlier also, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, which is like, in the 60s, there were a lot of political assassinations. And so I kind of agree with Raj on the Black people. This is not really our thing. We don't engage in political assassinations in that way, number one. But number two, the precedent that this does set, where people are low-key celebrating because you're aligning with one political side or another. I spoke on to this a little bit earlier. Being the political football and reveling in that is not wise. As Nameless was saying, because all you are is the ladder, right? And like, you're celebrating being the latter, and that it's not wise. Kirk said a whole lot of things, as Raj was saying. He said a lot of things, and he made a lot of enemies, right? And the last thing I'll say to this, and then I'm gonna drop, it's one thing when you say it because you think it's not gonna be you. And I've said this often on my channel, is the outliers are doing way too much talking, and because they think it's not gonna be them. That's why I'm a bit more careful what I say compared to Mr. Kirk. I appreciate I'm still a regular ass person, and I can get touched, right? I can be doxxed and I can get touched. There are other folks who make very, very inflammatory statements. They're very reckless with what they say. This goes to women, this goes to men, more than likely not Black men, but sometimes it is. that say things because they think they cannot get touched. They think they earn enough. They think they've insulated themselves enough. They think they're in the suburbs with the white picket fence enough, right? That they can't get touched. And throughout human history, people have gotten touched for less. People have gotten touched for looks, not even just words. You got to be careful how you move in and what you're saying. I'll pause right there.
Now, I'm gonna throw this out there, then I'm gonna give it to our next guest. Dumb people throw a lot of insults and stuff out there to a bunch of people, and then do everything they can to make themselves a public figure. It is in America, y'all. Most of the people on the news never plan to be on it. People are stupid out here, man. It just is what it is. You know, there's a lot of folks on the news, and they never planned to be on the news that day. They woke up, thought stuff was gonna be good, and stuff was gonna be regular, but now they on the news. And y'all, the news come on every night. I have not been alive where the news have not come on. So Charlie Kirk threw a lot of stones out there. It only makes sense to me that somebody throws a stone back. You gonna eventually piss off the wrong person. Now, see, I can let you say whatever you want to say because I do actually believe in the freedom of speech. I believe it's a good thing. I believe it can help move the world in a good direction. But unfortunately, it can move in a bad direction sometimes. So when you go out there and you use your freedom of speech and you want to be a big public figure and say a bunch of stuff where you're just throwing stones at people and you saying stuff that makes no sense, such as, the civil rights movement created some problem for white men. I mean, eventually something gonna happen to you. And I don't think black folks got anything to do with what happened to this dude. He's done said a lot of stuff about folks who are not black, and he got sniped. That is not how we usually get down. Why make the narrative about us? Okay, y'all, this is a great episode of Unsupervised White People. There's a reason I do shows called Unsupervised White People, because this is what unsupervised white people do. You got the guy who just went out throwing stones at somebody, and we got the guy who I'm sure is white who killed them just because he talked. It's ridiculous on both ends.
All right, you ready to bounce? Let me just conclude my thought real quick because I know you got to get Kevin
go
up
ahead,
here.
Brother. Go ahead.
Fundamentally, because the point, the general wisdom on this, which I agree with, is while you may have free speech, you don't necessarily get to be free of the consequences of that free speech. All I am saying is just be aware of the environment currently, where we're headed, and what he's actually responding to. I'm going to have to do a separate conversation on the works of Herbert Marcuse, because this is exactly what he was talking about. This idea of having liberating tolerance or not tolerating any sort of political perspective outside of the one that you hold for yourself. This is taught in schools, man. And when you have this as a way of being, and to your point, Roger, I find it a problem that we don't get down like that. People should be concerned. And I don't mean, someone gonna see you on some whatever, because we hear about the stories about folks getting stabbed for Jordans. I'm talking about the situations where, even on the political tip, folks are comfortable talking greasy because anti-blackness is a business model. I don't think this invalidates that. The point I'm saying is this is a little bit different, and that people only see this as regular white people shooting each other like every other instance. I'm saying look a little deeper. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. We don't know who actually got him. We don't know if it was some disgruntled alphabet dude. We don't know if this is just some random person at the college he was speaking to that just felt a certain type of way, or if it was a similar situation that we saw with BlackRock and the folks that try to get at Trump. It could have been any of those things. We don't know yet at all. I'm saying peep game. That's it. That's it. With that, y'all have a good rest of your day, fam.
All right, take care, brother. Take care. Appreciate you. All right, we have Kevin 3905 is here, so you got the mic, my brother. How you doing?
How you doing, fellas? How you doing? I'm disappointed. Not in you, Roger. You just covering the news. I get that. You covering the news. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I'm disappointed that we even care. I'm gonna be honest with you, and it has nothing to do with this guy's personality. People should be able to say what they want to say, no matter how inflammatory, no matter how crazy it is. We just got people out here that say crazy stuff. So I don't agree with the guy's rhetoric or anything like that. The killing was a senseless killing, but this has absolutely nothing to do with us. Nothing.
Yeah, I wanna say something.
Hold on, boss. Hold on, boss. Hold on, boss.
My bad.
Our fingerprints ain't on this one. We should just sit back and see what white folk are doing about this and how they're talking about it, and just learn from what's happening here, just so that we can avoid these type of things happening to us. This ain't got nothing to do with us. Nothing. It's just a senseless killing for whatever the reasons is. We know good and god doggone well there ain't a black man in America that pulled the trigger on this crazy talking white man. It's I do have empathy for his wife having been present, and if his children were present, and that they're missing their father and all this other kinds of stuff. I have empathy for that, but for the act itself and who probably did it, I assume it was a white guy. Man, I don't care. I just don't care. This is what they do all the time. School shootings. They kill up each other all the time. I don't care. And I'll leave it at that.
So who is that? Doggone, I'm sorry. That's Kevin, right?
Yeah.
Hey man, I agree with you. I would love not to care.
Hold on. I was supposed to be next because I wanted to.
Okay, I'll go after you. Go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna push back on where I wish he didn't drop, but I want to push back on Nameless a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's some things are simple, man. Some things are just plain sight and plain view. When it comes to the situation, like I said before, and I said it so many times before, right? When you remove the perception of black people doing bad, you're going to see the decay and rot of white mental health, and that's what you're seeing here. White men feel like they're losing their country. White men feel that they're in a situation where they can't get out of, so they retort. They get down like they normally get down, and unfortunately or fortunately, it really is that simple. And I understand where, okay, we should be cognizant because we live next to them, we're in proximity to them, right? Like there's white people in your city somewhere, right? But outside of having your 45, I mean, let them do what they're gonna do. And I agree with Kevin. Like, this is not something we should care about at all. We need to fortify our situations and just let them do what they do. I'll pass the mic on that. It is that simple.
Well,
now, go ahead, Mr. X. But y'all, after Mr. X, I got Truth Teller and Rael done came up, so I got to let them get the mic. Go ahead, Mr.
okay,
X.
just real quick then, no problem. Yeah, so look, I would love not to care. The problem is that they keep trying to put us in it. See, and we're gonna have to defend ourselves and make sure that the narrative does not shift towards us at all. And I'll leave it right there.
Well, I'm just gonna say this real quick, y'all. I'm trying to talk about the stuff that actually happened. I don't know how I got into this. They trying to put I don't see black people nowhere in this story. I don't do a bunch of unsupervised white people shows. So my thing is, this is the shows where we talk about what white people do. Because I don't do that many of them, y'all. But I don't know why y'all. And that's what I'm saying, y'all. You don't have to take the narrative somebody gives you. Okay, black folks ain't got nothing to do with this. I had no plans to talk about any black people today, but that's all I'm saying. Truth Teller, you got it, man.
Hey, what up, y'all? I'ma just put on the record. I could give two hooties about what happened to this guy. I'm not apologizing. I don't feel sorry for his family. Nothing. Anything for free got a high price. I'll repeat that. If anybody tells you that there's anything free, you automatically know it got a high price. If you think your freedom of speech is actually free, you goddamn a fool. If you think them sales you catch or get one free is free, you're a damn fool. It's more expensive, player. White people in. That's all I can say. They need to get together and figure out what's wrong with their community, because on that same day in that same state there was a school shooting, 3 kids died. So they need to figure out why is their community so dysfunctional and horrible, and they need to figure out why Chicago happens to be in their neighborhoods. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, I can answer those questions. They let feminism run away with the country.
All right, well, let me say this.
Well, it's not that simple, but yeah.
Shout out to the real Charlie Kirk. I'm gonna tell you right now, the reason I'm not highlighting none of that stuff because I will never choose to engage in celebrating anybody's death. I don't care if you hate a person. I don't believe in celebrating their death. Yeah, I mean you can celebrate winning the war, but you don't celebrate killing the enemy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a whole different thing. I don't celebrate people's death. I don't want nobody killing me and then celebrating and other people celebrating I'm dead. Not that I'm gonna actually care, but just it's not a good look. I think some stuff we got to be a little bit more mature about. I'm not gonna ever be on here doing public content and celebrate somebody's death. If I got to celebrate somebody's death, I'm gonna do that privately. If I just got to, but I ain't celebrating nobody's death, y'all, because I'm trying to be a better Christian myself. So I don't think it's the right move for me to be celebrating anybody's death. Okay, sorry the man died. Hopefully he believed in the Bible the way he came off, because like I said, I started researching beginning, refamiliarized myself with the guy. He said he a Christian. Hopefully, for his sake, he made it into paradise. And if he did, it ain't my business at the end of the day. So I'm just leaving that alone. I feel sorry for his wife and kids because I understand they lost a relative. I get his friends having a problem. I get his family having a problem. My whole point was just when Donald Trump said it's a dark day for America, bruh, it's sunny to me. That's all I can tell you. I didn't see this as no dark day for America. Just some white guy who got a problem with black folks got killed. Big whoop. That happens every day. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't say that happens every day, but what's the big deal that some guy who's racist got killed? Because I'm gonna say, based on what I heard him saying, I can definitely make a good, strong argument that he was a racist. Real talk. I can make a very strong argument, even though he was trying to stay away from being racist. But the best liars put some truth in it, and that's real talk. The best liars put some truth in it. But let me give the floor to Rael is next. Then we're gonna get Jado. Then we're gonna get perfect timing, y'all. So let's hold our comments till they get their opening statements in. Rael, you got it.
Peace, Roger. Peace to the panel. Peace to the chat. Let me say this. Just from an aftermath perspective, from a freedom of speech perspective, we need to be very careful in how we respond to situations like this, especially Black people who we know have had a history of having people that we care about, that we believe defended us publicly, get sent to the upper room themselves. And so from that perspective, nobody in this country should ever, I don't care what political side you find yourself on, nobody should celebrate this. Because if let me put it like this. Freedom of speech, I've been saying this for a long time. It doesn't mean there are no consequences for freedom of speech. So, for example, if you go in a movie theater and you yell fire and it causes a stampede and a lot of people die, your ass going to jail. So, it has to be what's the word I'm looking for? Not productive. Productive way of having these conversations. But the problem is that we're not really having conversations. This is something I was telling my homie for the last few months. We're not having actual conversations, and we haven't been having conversations really from a political standpoint in a long time. It's been people just shoving down people's throat, specifically from the left. But we saw this also take place. For anybody that wants to, oh, you just hate the left and all this type of stuff. We saw this, if anybody remember, in Bush's presidency, we saw it from the right. Okay, and so I prefer for people to say out loud what they really feel, because then I can easily identify who ain't rocking with us. And we as a group of people are going to have to learn how to not to be the mascot for dumb shit. And what I mean by that, a lot of times, man, we are always putting our nose in white people's shit when it ain't got nothing to do with us. Sometimes we need to just learn how to just step back and let other people deal with their own shit and stop jumping into the midst of that shit, because we're not in a position politically, financially, socially, physically to really be fighting type of battles that our mouths make us feel like we're capable of fighting. We need to get secure in our own position, in our own communities, because at the end of the day, like, this is not something that should be normalized. This is not something that should be because it's a wake up call for anybody that is saying, I mean, you yourself, Roger, has had multiple channels knocked down simply because you're exercising your freedom of speech to have different opinions. You know what I'm saying? So that's a dangerous place to be. We saw this during Biden's administration, the overhanded censorship, where we really have learned that a lot of people who were doing the censoring was specifically because they didn't want their nefarious schemes to be proven wrong, debunked, so we wouldn't have to follow or adhere to some of the stuff that they was trying to pass. Shout out to Kyrie, who stood up against the mandate in New York when he played for Brooklyn, when people was calling him a troublemaker, including people like Stephen A. Smith and others, for saying he was doing the wrong thing, but he stood on business. And even back then, even he was talking about, like, man, forget all this, man. Why don't we just start our own league? You know what I'm saying? So I think that and that's him exercising that unwillingness to get that shot was his form of freedom of speech. And there's a lot of black people that attacked him. So and I was in full agreement with him. So for me, I think when it comes from the freedom of speech aspect, for black people specifically, we need to be very careful in how we respond to somebody being taken down from this particular perspective, regardless of what we think, how wrong or right we think his political philosophy is. Because I remember the same Democratic Party, specifically years ago, with groups like the ACLU defending. I'm going to say this again because a lot of people have a short memory. I remember the ACLU defending the KKK in court, saying that our democracy is best served when we allow even the most hateful people to be able to speak and get their words out. But then all of a sudden, now it's a complete opposite thing when people were expressing their views on things like, let's say, the vax, for example. During 2020, all that Democrat stuff that they was talking about, the democracy is best served, then all of a sudden they was completely against that. So I just think that we just need to be cautious in how we approach this as a group, because we like to talk a lot of shit. And talking a lot of shit when you amongst your own and in privacy is one thing. Publicly, it has consequences, whether we like it or not. there is consequences for how we respond. And if you want to go back in time to see an example, we saw Malcolm X be silenced in the NOI for his comments about Kennedy by Elijah Muhammad because of how it looked publicly, and he didn't want, because he had to worry about a group of people. It just wasn't Malcolm, and he had to suffer the consequences in terms of being silenced because of his comments about Kennedy. So there is a history of this from a Black perspective, of us looking at things from a particular perspective and making sure we don't jump the gun on some stuff that more than likely ain't even got nothing to do with us from that particular perspective as a group. But from a freedom of speech perspective, it has everything to do with us, because we have been one of the main groups have put it on the line in terms of people we've lost publicly for saying shit that wasn't popular, even though it could have been right, but it was not popular. So we do not want to go down that path for any group of people, including people we don't even like.
I'm gonna rebut that a bit.
No, hold fast. I said I gotta let these other guys get in.
I didn't know there's anybody else. My fault.
Now we got Jado here, and we got Perfect Time. I got to let them get the opening statements in. Go ahead, Jado. You got it.
Hey, salute Roger. Saw the gentleman on the panel. Everybody in the chat. Salute, brother. And salute to the replay gang as well. I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. This kind of reminds me. I always think of the pop culture or just stuff that I remember from just my life or whatever. Reminds me of Ice-T's song, freedom of speech. Just watch what you say. I kind of think about that. I thought that was a brilliant line that he had in that song. But I don't want to get into conjecture or guessing and whatever, because definitely I don't have all the facts. But I just always I try to come on here and point out like the sequencing of events and how they transpire. And I think a lot of this stuff, again, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that a lot of these things are planned out well in advance or whatever. Does all of it get planned out well in advance? Maybe not. Maybe some of it's organic. Maybe all of it's organic. Maybe it's just me being a conspiracy theorist. But when you just the most recent events, how they've happened with the stuff in Frisco, Texas, I think Cincinnati, Ohio, the thing with Quentin Jackson's son, I think his name's Roger Jackson, his thing in Charlotte, latest thing, and this today. And I think, and I know, I think I didn't catch the entire show, Roger, forgive me, man, but I know, we're saying it doesn't have anything to do with us, and it probably doesn't. This particular event we're talking about now, this incident right here, and condolences to his family. I'm gonna say that condolences to his family. But even a lot of times facts don't really matter, man. When these ideologies get put out here, even if they come up with a suspect or whoever the perpetrator was, they'll still have a black face on it, regardless. A lot of times. So, and I'm not saying that a black man, because I'm not suggesting a black man did this. But when people have these ideologies, these sentiments and stuff already, they don't really care. You're gonna follow their anyway. I just say this, man. When these events happen, I just kind of reflect on how we conduct ourselves as black men and black people as a whole, but black men particularly, how we conduct ourselves amongst each other and look out for each other and try to get our objectives met. You know what I'm saying? If we can or whatever, because this is just another day in America, man. This been going on. Quite frankly, this is the way of the world, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and this guy he's probably already been replaced. He's easily replaceable. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of say, I don't know, man. It's like I see a tone being set and to where, again, like black people, black men are the enemy of the state, so to speak, or whatever, and they're trying to galvanize some type of something to happen against us, black people as a whole, but black men particularly. Anyway, I'll end right there, man. Thanks for having me up.
All right, we gotta get perfect timing in here. Perfect timing podcast. You have the flow, my brother.
Salute everybody.
What up, bro?
What's up, J Doe? What's up with my brothers, man? Y'all know I do. This is my wheelhouse. I do conservative content now. So I got a couple different, I got some threats yesterday, and I'll be getting real live threats in my chat doing the conservative content. I don't really talk about it much. I don't got no friends to talk about it with, but it's not, you gotta pretend like you don't see it because I gotta keep on my mask when I'm doing my content. But I talk to my wife about it every day after I'm done. Like, did you see that? She's like, yeah, I saw that. And that's one aspect of it, right? Because then the threats got real bad yesterday because I didn't know what happened when I was live. It didn't happen while I was live, and the chat got kind of. So there's this energy out there. I don't know. I agree with Jado and the people who say I don't think it's wise to ignore this energy, right? And this is not happening in a vacuum. I pay attention to the political landscape. So a lot of people, y'all work and y'all busy, so I get it. But we had that. This is happening. And so two things I'm going to say. Number one, something I said yesterday that this should be familiar to a lot of the intellectuals on the panel. We're in the presidential election. I've been saying this for a week, and I've been telling my audience, like, I'm the first person. I think I'm ahead of the curve, announcing the fact that we're currently. So if you couch it in the fact that we're in the 2028 presidential election, then it kind of gives you, it's not that it's normal or you should be okay with it, but this is what happened. Trump got shot in the ear, and someone got murdered that day. Trump was attempted to be assassinated 3 times when he was going to be elected. He actually was shot in the ear, but people don't talk about what really happened. Someone died that day. Trump almost died that day. The bullet just he got hit, but he just didn't die, but someone did die behind him. This energy is real. This energy is out here. And I don't think in 2025, we need to look at it as like this energy is unique to a certain skin color. That would be ignorant, right? So 2 things. We're in a 2028 presidential election. If you look at it like that, then you understand what's happening. They lost the 5 seats in Texas, and so they're desperate. They were desperate when Trump was running. They tried to kill him 3 times. So when Nameless and certain people are talking about, and you look at like the files and these people and Whitney Webb, Whitney Webb has exposed, like, I don't know why she gets props, but Kanye didn't get props. Kanye's the genius who told us that these 1,000-year-old families and how the world is being ran. So what you see is a fight. 2028, and a lot of times people say this, but it's never been truer because we never had the internet and we didn't know about the mega group. We didn't know about the table. We didn't know about the global cartels. We didn't know how the world was ran. We thought the president was the president, but now it's been exposed. What we're seeing is a fight for global power. I don't think we should ignore that. I think you should tune in. I don't think you should. I don't think you should be turned off by race because that's so elementary. Right? That's what I say to white people. You allow my skin color to make it easy for me to beat you because all you see is a black person. You don't know my intellect. So there is a fight for global power. This is global positioning, right? And they don't want the current president to have a voice, and they want to go back to what we had just 6 months ago. And I don't know. If you like families and fathers, which is why I come to this panel, you should be worried because the people in this fight don't like fathers and families. Remember the mission statement of Black Lives Matter and really understand where this is coming from. They want to go back to where we were 6 months ago. Title IX, men not comfortable in bathrooms, young boys not comfortable in colleges, toxic masculinity, and an erasure of the Negro. This is the battle. It's not about race. It's not about Kirk. It's about those powers who lost power 6 months ago, who did tremendous things in 4 years, who got a taste of power and they want it back. And I don't know if Trump makes it this whole term. This ain't about race. This ain't about race. This is about those individuals. And I want us as black men to really understand what we were under just 6 months ago. And what your life would look like if a Kamala would be in the office. Kamala, black female president. Then you have a Fannie Willis who she invited to the White House. You have the black female Letta James. You have these black women already in place to take you out. You didn't know your head was on the chopping block. I talked about it yesterday. Soon as they ushered in that new regime, you were gone. You were already gone with the mission statement with Black Lives Matter. So when Nameless talks about the Combi River Project, you guys, this is not a joke, man. It's not about them. Like Jado just said, they coming for your head. They're coming for your head, and you are all the sights are already on you. They get that. They get those people in power that they wanted to get in power 6 months ago. Kamala was sitting with Fannie Willis. She was sitting with Letty James. Y'all would be gone. And that's what this is about. Those individuals getting power and finishing implementing the plan that they had. And they almost got it done. Somebody must want me to stop. I'll stop.
Y'all, if you're not speaking, during opening statement, everybody might as well be on mute because I did hear that too. But we got one more person who done came up, y'all. Then we gonna flow into the conversation a little bit more. We got Shark Sims that came up, so now I'm giving him the flow. And for you new folks that don't know, everybody who comes up get to say something. I'm never gonna have people join a show and you don't get to say anything because I just don't think it's not respectful, not the right way to handle things. And if you new here and you like real content, you might as well subscribe to the channel, y'all. This is the best show on social media, real talk. And I'm gonna tell you also, you're getting a little taste of this because this is a very black centric show, even though this is a episode of Unsupervised White People. And I do believe Charlie Kirk was, I'm gonna say it again, the quintessential unsupervised white person. And whoever killed him, I'm pretty sure was another unsupervised white person. Okay. But I'm gonna let Shark get his piece. Go ahead, my brother.
Peace, everybody. How y'all doing? Happy Thursday to everybody. I look at this. It was foul what happened to the guy, but at least he died standing on what he liked to do. So I could give him that much. But at the end of the day, I double agree with what Nameless Protagonist was saying, and definitely what perfect timing was saying. I think we really got to read the room because things is real different right now, and this is basically how the media, and Jado always talk about this. This is how the media could radicalize people that don't even know nothing about nothing. You know what I mean? They was talk. I think somebody said, yeah, they was talking about the school shooting right before he got killed, and then they just moved on to him. This is all just radicalization, and now they literally are trying to give people just a ticket to go do whatever they want because they don't like what somebody is saying. By them just sugarcoating and glazing over Donald Trump getting shot and just glazing over the other person who literally died. You have people talking about, nah, that was fake. So somebody literally died. They gave these people the green light to just say, yo, I don't like what that dude with the report is saying. Let me go get him. You know what I mean? Like even when Kevin died, people was dancing and just recklessly talking. And that was before the 6 months that Thomas was talking about. People are very, very brazen out here. And it's not just a color thing because I think Charleston White goes through the same thing. If people don't like what you're saying and they can't beat what you saying, they gonna kill you. And I think that's the word. That's the best way to tell somebody that they on to something is by trying to kill them instead of just debunking the things that they saying. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to tell. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm not making no sense, but I think I double, like I said, I double agree with Nameless and what Thomas was saying. Like they put it, I think they put it together best. I'll pass it on with that.
All right. Well, I do want to say, man, I think, maybe black folks do need to pay more attention, because I don't see them doing nothing that they ain't already been doing. When white people see you getting a certain level of power and they disagree with whatever that quote unquote power is or the direction you're going in, they will take your head off, literally. And obviously that's what somebody tried to do yesterday. I mean, he got him in the neck. Mr. X is probably correct. He probably was going for a headshot, but he got him in the neck. Yep. It still worked at the end of the day. This is who white people are. They've always been this way. I'm going to say, when it comes to America, and shout out to all my people listening around the world, but when it comes to America, white people ain't never not been this.
No. That's why I said we're in a presidential election, so that we can understand it better. If you couch it, because this is what they do when you run for president. They kill off people. This is not new for presidential elections. We can go back. Being shot. If they disagree, that's why I couched it in this. This is part of the 2028 presidential election. Gavin Newsom met with Charlie Kirk. Gavin Newsom almost got canceled because Gavin Newsom said to Charlie Kirk, "You are the most influential person I have to deal with because you convert Democrats to Republicans every day." Charlie Kirk, go. This is part of the 2020 campaign. This is this is not abnormal. I'm not shocked. I'm not sad for him. I couched it in that because what Roger is saying is true. When we run for president, people get shot.
Okay. Hold on. Can we just
Roger,
stop?
Like you said, white
y'all gotta
people,
stop. Hold on.
I
gotta go, man.
The government
this
will
is
chop your
absurd.
head off when they want to.
But
now
this
they
is
got
absurd,
it to the
y'all.
average citizen will try to chop your head off now. You know what I'm saying?
But yo, I don't know if y'all realize what y'all just did. Like 4 y'all in a row. Like y'all literally, and it's my conservative brothers. I be hoping I can get somebody conservative to explain stuff in a conservative way without trying to kowtow to what white folk want. But y'all always do it every single time. Y'all did
who is conservative?
All y'all did a few things, right? So a couple people mentioned left. Couple people mentioned left. Couple people tried to put this dude who's not a political anybody in the context of a presidential election in 3 more years. Tried to put what happened to him in the context of what happens to black people. White people, and I don't know how that. They treat us a certain way off rip from the beginning to end. What they do amongst what they do. Hey, hear me out.
No, he's
what
trying
they
to insult us.
what they do amongst what they do amongst their tribe. I don't know how. I don't know how we can sit here and try to place it on us.
Hold on, y'all.
One at a time.
You can't have a good argument without listening to the other person's position.
Entire panel.
No. But hold on. He's taking a position.
But it's unnecessary to insult people to take your position.
They didn't even hear my position.
He started it out with saying y'all conservatives.
Let's hear the rest of it.
No. He said
he had to insult, and he's wrong.
That's what he did.
I didn't insult anybody.
Okay, hey, hold on.
When you say we kowtow,
the issue is
because we're black men.
I didn't insult anybody.
Hey, y'all, hold on. The issue is if you let him say what he's saying, it's a lot easier to get a better rebuttal to what he's saying. I'm just saying whatever he's saying, just let him say it, then give the rebuttal. That's all.
But remember,
got real sensitive.
Truth, read the room. Truth, read the room, man.
You got sensitive because your points that you're making is bad. It's my turn to talk. So just let me finish talking.
Truth,
maybe you can understand what I'm saying.
To do that to us,
Chef, where we at, Chef?
Well, Thomas, let him get it.
I'd like to hear the point.
So let's see what he has to say. Let's hear it.
I'd like to hear the point so we can actually have a discussion about it. Let's do that.
I know it's usually me, but it ain't me today.
Hey, I'm gonna say this, y'all. I'm gonna say this, y'all. I do believe a lot of people be scared when white people is on the chopping block. This is an unsupervised white people. If we can't get through this conversation, this is gonna be a very bad look, in my opinion. Okay?
Yes.
Because it ain't us on the chopping block. An unsupervised white person, Charlie Kirk, I believe was killed by another unsupervised white person, the shooter. If we can't talk about them because white people is on the chopping block, and I'm not saying you got to agree with Charlie or disagree with Charlie. I listened to him. He said some stuff I agree with, but Satan has said some stuff I agree with because Satan does quote the Bible too. So it's all about context at the end of the day. I'm just saying, let the man say what he gonna say. Once he say it, then we can get a good rebuttal on what he's saying.
Roger, you take it through tell aside. Is that what you said? If I read, go ahead. Let's hear what you.
No, I'm not taking the side. I'm not taking the side. Okay, because I'm just letting everybody know. When I woke up, it was a bright day. Donald Trump said it was a dark day for America. I assume he said that yesterday. It was pretty sunny outside where I was. So to me, this was no dark day for America. It was just his personal friends, meaning Charlie Kirk, his family, sure, some of his fans. Dark day for them, but this definitely ain't no dark day for America. This how America get down. But go ahead and finish your point, Truth Teller, so they can rebut.
Well, I was literally going. That's what I was literally saying. This has nothing to do with black people. I know y'all have mentioned it. Now, what I did hear is because this happened to him amongst his tribe, I've heard several of us say, well, you should be able to say what you want, even though most of what he says is negative against us. We shouldn't be the people saying that. It should not be coming from us, because when stuff happened to us, you don't hear them talk like that. But for some strange reason, we have to make sure we give our rebuttal before we say what we say. And everybody did it. He should be able to say the truth without this happening. And they don't never say that when stuff happened to us. When George Floyd got their knee on his neck, and they were saying the reports he died of a drug versus a knee on his neck, I didn't hear anybody saying, hey, he shouldn't have to get a knee on his neck to be arrested. I didn't hear that. 4 officers holding down one dude. I didn't hear any of them saying that. So I need us to understand what our perspective is. I'm not saying they don't have nothing cooking on their side of the fence. They do. We should be watching, but we shouldn't put that on us, and suddenly now it could affect us too. That's called being scared. I ain't scared of them. But if they want to go ahead and do what they do to all of they, and they want to take away the rights of each other, and they want to, hey, listen, y'all have at it, man. That's a tribe thing. That's a family fight, man. It ain't got nothing to do with us. That's what I'm saying. And stop trying to take on all of this nonsense onto us and try to reflect it back to everybody else. We've been trained to do that for the last 120 years. When are we gonna learn?
So did you guys hear what I said from the beginning when I talked about Charlie Kirk and how he actually presents information specifically about black people, black men especially? Is that it's not the truth. That's the issue I have with him. Look, if I don't care. Any person of any race and gender can criticize the hell out of black people all day long if that's what they want to. If they're coming from a genuine point of concern and they actually have solutions and they're talking about it in full nuance and context and actual truth. He's not doing that. So why would I listen to somebody like him?
Hold on.
Well, I got KFC.
Hold on. I agree with you. However, you and I both know that even when it comes to the Republican Party, and this is going even back to the days of Bush, one of the reasons why the Republican Party has always been scared to make overtures towards black people is because when you have black political leaders, back then you had NAACP, people like Julian Bond calling Bush Hitler. And so before you can even have a conversation with people who are supposed to be representatives of black people, you're starting out the conversation calling somebody a Nazi. They do this shit all the time. And then they turn around, and then black people turn around and say, well, Republicans don't want to do anything for black people. Well, when they try to engage you, the first thing you're saying to them is you calling them a name. Just like in this conversation. Soon as you give an opinion that a black person doesn't like, it's an automatic attack. it's an automatic disparaging of your character. Ain't none of these niggas know me. Ain't none of these niggas know me personally. They never been around me. They ain't never seen the type of shit that I do. As soon as a comment is given towards a topic that they don't like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm getting sick and tired of black males specifically coming with this like shit. Y'all niggas on some high school bullshit. I don't like that shit, bro. I get tired of the mentality of, well, just because I don't like what you say, I'm gonna say some shit. I'm gonna say some disrespectful shit to you. I sat here and listened to people's difference of opinion. I didn't personally attack anybody. I listened to their difference of opinion. That's what it was. But when you say, well, y'all conservatives, such and such and such and such, you're already fucking spoiling the goddamn argument. Make the argument without the fucking personal attack, and we can have the dialogue. But once
That's
you
bullshit.
come with that type of stuff, that's bullshit.
All right, I'm not gonna sit here.
That's bitch shit too.
No, hold on.
I'm not gonna sit here and you making up lies about me.
No. Hold on. Hold on, y'all.
Don't sit here and make up lies about me.
Hey, y'all, hold on. What we gonna do is I'm gonna move the conversation along to one of the things that I put in the clip. One of the links I put in the description. Okay, and I'm gonna ask that we don't get so fired up because I don't want the cursing. I'm trying to keep that cursing thing down. I don't want people fired up and slinging words. Okay, so now I'm gonna say, as I refamiliarize myself with Charlie Kirk, because I said earlier I wouldn't have killed the guy over what he said. I never tell y'all who to listen to because I know at the end of the day, you will be judged by what you choose to believe. Charlie Kirk doesn't, from our times frame, he didn't want to go to judgment. So I don't know where he's gonna land, but he getting judged based on his beliefs, and that's real talk. That's what's gonna happen to you at the very end. You're getting judged on your beliefs. So now at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was saying some stuff to the gentleman about reparations. And Charlie Kirk said, and I'll put a couple clips in there where he was talking about reparation, but he did say to one gentleman, he don't believe that black people should get reparations because it didn't happen to them. He was like, I ain't had no slave. Personally, you wasn't no slave. Dude was like, okay, cool, I agree with that. And he was like, well, you know what? We shouldn't give money to people because it didn't happen to them. Okay. I could take that same argument and say, hey, we shouldn't have his children get anything that he built. His children should get no inheritance. They didn't earn that money. Now, like I said, y'all, I went to his channel. The channel say, I think it's 4.3 million subscribers. I'm sure he's making a pretty penny off that channel. Should his children get anything based on what Charlie said? Because his children didn't do the work. It didn't happen to them, as he said. They weren't there putting the content up. They wasn't out there traveling, making no content. So should your children not get anything?
Well, can I comment?
So as it relates to, I can answer this question, Roger. Or I can answer this.
Well, I got.
So as it relates to reparations and what he was talking about, so here's the problem, and this is again, it always goes back to nuance and context. He eliminated all the history and all the issues and problems associated with that in the genesis of Black people's effort, not only to collect reparations in a timely manner, literally 1865, and then followed up with a formal request in the 1890s, right? And with an actual agency and organization, all that other stuff, and then multiple requests thereafter, and well, not necessarily say requests, but demands, all only to be ignored while watching everybody else get reparations. Not only that, then you have a United States government double, triple, quadruple, quintuple down on open discrimination, racism, domestic terrorism, and theft, destruction of Black property and Black leaders, taking them out, and a whole bunch of other stuff. See, and this is what I'm talking about when people like him are talking about, well, I don't believe in reparations because it was 150 plus years ago. And meanwhile, the residual effects from 150 plus years ago are still in effect in present day. That's the nuance, and see, and this is why he doesn't talk to people who have ability to actually think on their feet, understand the history and the context, and add more to it. Because now he has to respond to that. See, and so when he's talking to that young man, that's one of the reasons he goes around to all of these colleges, and he tries to kind of, okay, I know these people know something, but they don't know enough. And I'm savvy enough that I can redirect the conversation, even if I'm losing, even if they do get me, I can redirect and do all this other stuff. And I'll go ahead. I got a what do you call it? An anecdote for you, an anecdotal story. But I'll go ahead and I'll save that.
All right, well, I gotta say something, then I'm gonna let Shark get in because I heard Shark trying to say something. Now I'm gonna say shout out to Hood Conservative. He said amazing Negro logic. All I did was say the logic that Charlie Kirk actually said to the person. How is it amazing Negro logic when I literally took it from Charlie Kirk and put a link in the description of where I took the logic from? The man said it didn't happen to you. I didn't own the slaves. So why should we benefit in any kind of way? Why should I be held responsible in any kind of way? Well, if I take that same logic and apply it to your children didn't earn a dime of what he did. They didn't do it. They didn't go to no colleges talking to people. They didn't get on no TV shows. They didn't get no pay. They didn't collect no paid fees for doing this and doing that. So if I use that logic, and his logic was literally to cut off the ancestors, your children are the beginning of ancestors. So that's not amazing Negro logic. That is Charlie Kirk's logic. Now, I didn't tell Charlie Kirk to say that to somebody. He decided to say that to somebody. So how come if we use their own logic and it don't quite work for them, now it's a problem? It was his logic. But you're trying to blame me for his logic. He the one literally said it didn't happen to you and I didn't own no slave, so we should let that go. That's what he said. So now if I take that same principle and say, let's cut his kids off from inheritance, now it don't apply. But you got the nerve to say amazing Negro, like what Negro came up with it? Because Charlie white. He's clearly white. But Shark Sam was about to be, and I stopped him. So Shark, you got it.
I want to go after Shark.
I'll go after you.
Actually, I wanted to respond to something
you know what?
that Perfect Timing was saying, if you don't mind. I only came up to say something to Perfect Timing after Shark Sims, of course.
Oh, okay, and you know what? I just lost it, but I'll get to Black Rule said something. I'll find this comment and highlight it again. Go ahead, Shark.
I feel like it's well, first of all, I like when a nigga saying when a person's saying some stuff that just don't make no sense. I don't even really pay attention to them. That's why I'm like, I don't even know why black people got they shit all in a bunch, because he don't know your enemy don't know the stats like he should, and he probably know the stats like he should, but he not gonna state the stats like he should. So that's your job to get up there and slap him in the face like with the stats like you should. He was kicking LGTB niggas asses more than he was kicking our asses. Those are the people that's who he really got shot by. He got shot by some gay guy who knew how to climb onto a roof. Like he's the least of our problems. You know what I'm saying? And when we say, "Oh, white people," no, the government will take your head off for something they don't want you to be saying. But now, like I said, they have radicalized the average citizen to where you got regular people outside fighting over words. Like we was never really like that. We could mark but now it's like we like even right now we argue, we talk to each other every day. We might not know each other personally. And true tell, I still got love for you, even though you crazy as a bat. I still got love for you, but we over here arguing and going crazy and shit, ready to choke each other through a damn phone because these people then radicalize us to an extent where we just letting emotions take place on everything.
Okay, well let's go ahead, because Mrs. E came to respond to Perfect Timing. So Perfect Timing, say what you got to say, so we can respond to it.
No. It was something that he said earlier. So first, Shark Sims, Alexander Hamilton got murked because of emotions and talk. Like he was never gonna shoot the dude back in the duel. He could have possibly become president, but he to take the duel anyway. And
thank God.
There's something Perfect Timing said. So Perfect Timing. What's going on the planet right now, globally, between the U.S. and other nations, and I don't know if you appreciate the direction you was going in. It is all about race. Consider the U.S. and the G7, the U.S. obviously part of NATO, and the BRICS and BRICS Plus. Think of the nations that consist of the BRICS and BRICS Plus. Think of the nations that consist of the G7 and obviously NATO, right? It is all about race. What's going on? It literally is. The U.S. is their last empire. It's all about race. I don't expect them to ever say it. They're never going to say that. Ever, 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 ever. It is all about race. Once again, I'll end out with that. Think about the nations that consist of the G7 and obviously NATO, and think about the nations that consist of the BRICS and BRICS Plus, and that tells you everything that's going on right now. It is exactly the end of their empire. They had it with Britain and France and all this, and the US is their last bastion, and they trying to hold on to it for dear life. That's what the Ukraine-Russia thing is about. That's what China is about. That's what all of this is about. It's not simply nation states fighting over resources. It has a lot to do with that, but it's not simply that. And I'll pause right there.
And before anybody says anything else, let me get this done real quick. Shout out to my main man, J Bones, because J Bones came through with the $5 Cash App yesterday afternoon after the show. And I'm going to just remind y'all, the Roger Report Live, the Cash App open 24 hours a day. That's why he was able to do that. Okay. He sent it around 3:30 in the afternoon, but you can do that because that's $ the Roger Report. It's open 24 hours a day. Okay. Real talk. So shout out to my main man, Jay Bones. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast, who also came with the $5 super chat this morning. He said, Kirk lied about us. Reality gets the last word. Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one. Appreciate it. Shout out to my main man Lawrence, who says he just said, for the stream. So appreciate it. He sent in a $5 Cash App as well. And shout out to Roastmaster One, who just sent another $20 Cash App with 57 cents. So shout out to Roastmaster One for the Trail Bentley tax as well. And he says, great content. Hey, appreciate you, Roastmaster. Appreciate you big time. All right. Now let me read this real quick. This came in from Black Rule. He said both parties have gone hard on the degenerating and race baiting. The denigrating and race baiting. Trump became president because of it. And Biden did the same before him. Now, I'm going to say I totally agree with that. If you have allegiance to a political party in America as a black person, you already somewhat off. But I've been telling that, and that goes to anybody. You're off to be having allegiance with a party that does not care about you. That don't make sense to me. It just ain't gonna never make sense to me. I'm gonna always look out for me from a political perspective. I could see if you don't know, but both parties make it pretty clear they ain't really trying to do nothing for you. I don't see how you can miss that as an American citizen. And I know we're not politically savvy as we should be, but I just don't see how it ain't that obvious. It's extremely obvious to me. All right,
let me ask you a question, Roger.
Hold on, Ryo. I want to respond.
Oh, perfect. That's right. You're supposed to go. My bad. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
So, Mr. Z, I agree with you and disagree at the same time. I think that's a different topic. I would love to have that conversation with you because when you look at the demographics globally, I think you're correct. And this is why we see, a whiteness going back to white Christianity. You saw when they had power, a lot of whiteness going to being non-Christian, non-secular. So when you see a lot of white people going back to being Christian, it has a lot to do with that. And the demographics say that they're already over, but that's a separate conversation. When I'm talking about with this Charlie Kirk 2028, I'm talking about the influence that the podcasters had in 2024. I'm talking about the 5 seats. And I also, you made me think about Abraham Lincoln. I was going to bring up Kevin, but Abraham Lincoln, some people think Abraham Lincoln was murdered because of race or maybe racist ideology. It wasn't. It was about money. It was about markets, right? But there was a racial overtone to what happened to Abraham Lincoln because there was slaves in the Civil War, but it was not about race. His murder was about money and markets. This today Charlie Kirk was not, we shouldn't be caught up on his belief in talking points, right? Because Kevin wasn't murdered because of his belief in talking points. Kevin was murdered because of his influence. Charlie Kirk changes Democrats to Republicans, and with the Charlie Kirk and the next Charlie Kirk coming up behind him, the Democrats never would have won another election. And then then we can have to talk about the racial identity of the globe and what's coming next, because that has to do with that. But this is about the Democrats' ability to win an election. And if Charlie Kirk were to continue, they would never have a majority. And this is why Gavin Newsom, this is why, Truth, I interrupted you because I felt like you were insulting me, or maybe you weren't listening. But I said Charlie Kirk is political and and influential, which is why Gavin Newsom started a podcast, and his first guest was Charlie Kirk. And what he said to Charlie Kirk is, I need to be like you. Democrats need to create you, because with you, we will never win again, because every day you are actively turning Democrats into Republicans. We can't win with the Charlie Kirk. Did you listen to that conversation? A lot of people missed that conversation.
I listened to it.
Because thank you. They were upset that Newsom even had the conversation with a Charlie Kirk, and they missed the whole point. They missed the whole point. Charlie Kirk, just like Kevin, was beginning to influence and change minds. Even when we talk about Kevin, people in their feelings, they panties get all in a bunch. Well, I gave him talking points and this and that. The fact of the matter is Kevin was influential and powerful, and black men have a problem with that. Charlie Kirk became influential and powerful, and these individuals shifted an election. Whether you know that or not about politics, Donald Trump went on Joe Rogan because his 18-year-old son, Barron, told him to.
Podcast bros and them. Yep. No, you're right. You're right about that.
Turn the election. Politics in America is forever changed. And Turning Point is a behemoth. They were on Utah college. All they do is go to college campuses. This is where the Democrats used to live. Democrats used to get these voters. This is what Gavin Newsom is screaming to the Democratic Party. Hey, we will never win again. We can never win again with the Turning Point and the Charlie Kirk. And now you see what happened. That's why today I'm kind of like Rael. I'm taken aback. We could be mad at the talking points, but that's childish, like Rael said. I'm not mad at no white boy for being racist. I grew up in America. I went to high school in America with him. I know him intimately. I went to high school in Arizona. I know this white boy. I'm not surprised or angry. That would not make me the champion king that I am if I'm affected by a racist white boy and with his ideology. I don't like that we do that. It's not white on white and white. Stop saying race and white. This has nothing to do with anybody's skin color.
But Perfect, it does. You didn't just hear Z?
He disagreed. Perfect said he agreed and he disagreed. It's the context
right, but then he
it.
came. But so he came back and says it has nothing to do with skin color.
Well, wait, let me
agree and disagree, and then
because I need. So if it's me and let me as long as let me Perfect keep on going. So what I will say to what Perfect is saying is this: it is about race because Charlie Kirk is trying to maintain a particular pyramid scheme in the U.S. So you got Trump and Biden trying to remain keep that.
Real quick. To what Black Uru said, Charlie Kirk is playing a game. I don't even believe that Charlie Kirk believes the things that he's saying. They just work, and I can say that I can say that because guess what I do every day. Okay, let's just take me for example. I'm a NIGGA, but my content reflects a certain way, so I can get clicks, likes, and money. I don't even believe Charlie Kirk believes what he says, but it's making him a millionaire. Rest in peace.
With that, no. Okay, even if we say that, Perfect. Okay, let's go with that. With that, if y'all remember exactly, that's where I'm going. But let me get there. If y'all remember, there was one time where there was the shooting. This was years ago, and Rob might even remember this. And the manifesto had Bill O'Reilly's name in it. And Bill O'Reilly had to start moonwalking out of that. Like, look, you're trying to bury me with this. It's the same thing we saw with the New Zealand shooter and Candace Owens. Whether you believe it or not, this is what we always say to Black celebrities, right? You might have just hit a lick. You talented in something. It finally took off, and you didn't expect, nor do you even want this responsibility. But guess what? It come with it. So if Kirk is he's an edgelord white dude, right? We all had classes with those edgelord white boys. We all been in class with them, and they just be spewing stuff for the attention. Kirk could be that. Fuentes could be that. With that, there's a responsibility with this. So what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, what you have is a bunch of white folks who feel like they're losing power and influence. Period. Not just domestically, but globally. And what Kirk is doing with his rhetoric and how he moved, and even in some of those debates on college campuses, which I've watched a lot, is maintaining a very, and I'm going to sound like a straight up leftist on this, heterosexual white male leadership. And I understand that there's certain brothers that see some parallels there. What I'm saying is, do you appreciate what he's on, whether he means it or not? And definitely the millionaires and billionaires that were backing him, what they're on. Because when the Koch brothers and them are backing you, you better believe they ain't with it just because you say some edgy shit and they want to be part of that. When you got the Koch brothers and when you got billionaire old white men, 60, 70, 80-year-old white men, multi-billion-dollar conglomerates, they not just backing you because you saying some edgy shit. And I'll pause right there.
I mean, hold on 1 second, you know. I'm gonna stick my neck in there and I'm gonna say, y'all, let's relax the cursing a little bit. Let's relax it a little bit.
My apologies.
It's cool.
And let me say this perfect real quick, Roger. Perfect. I just want to tell him I'm not attacking. I'm just gonna tell him. I hope perfect. Don't think I'm just attacking you. I just came back to kind of rebut what you were saying earlier. I'm not attacking you, bro.
Okay. Black Rule Strike says if an arsonist does not really like fire, does that even matter if you burn your house down? And I'm gonna say that makes a whole lot of sense to me. Because if you burn my house down, the last thing I'm trying to find out is if you like fire or not. That's the last thing I'm looking into. And that's real talk. It's gonna be some furniture moving. I just leave it at that.
Hey,
but
Roger,
go ahead.
I dropped something on you in Cash App. You ain't got to announce it though. That's cool.
Okay, appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so well, let me say this. I agree with a lot of the stuff that Perfect was saying. There is a global realignment of alliances. I don't think, me personally, I the last time we saw something like this was before the start of World War One. To me, shifting alliances. What you found out was that a lot of countries back then had secret alliances with each other, and when one got hit, they had an agreement with each other. Like, look, if this person hit me, man, y'all come over here. You know what I'm saying? So, from a political standpoint, from America, you even seeing it in Canada, where you're seeing Alberta and some of these other provinces looking like they might drop some referendums to split off and maybe find themselves aligned with the United States. You're seeing in Europe, you're seeing many of the governments become more slanted towards conservative bend. It's been a big thing that's happened in Germany with this AfD party, and a lot of the members been found unalive in a short period of time. So clearly, there is a realignment or shift that's taking place from a national and geopolitical standpoint from Western countries, and so that means Black people are going to have to figure out a course and a way forward. This white and this red and white paradigm, all of that type of stuff, man, you're gonna have to grow beyond that, because it's bigger than just red and white, red and blue. It is so beyond that. And you know, whenever I make the statements that I make, I don't speak from any vantage point of any party. I'm an independent. I don't go for propaganda. I do my own research. I do my own reading for that purpose. I don't get the bulk of my information from the news. I look at what happens in the news, and I go through my own shit and see what's what. And so at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you know, people can say, you know, Kirk didn't support reparations. Well, he's Republican. The Republican Party has not supported this in terms of an issue anytime it's being brought up. However, the same people that, you know, that will say that, I don't remember any content being done when the Congressional Legislative Black Caucus in California did not bring up the reparations bill in California last year. Okay? There was no content. I never seen all the people that was talking about in this space. I remember a lot of people in 2020 talking all that reparations shit. It was very quiet when black politicians on the left side, who were the ones who commissioned the studies to study reparations and all of that, I didn't see any content about them selling black folks out, because that's exactly what happened. And let's be clear, I think it was 2 reparations bills, and Perfect and correct me because he's in Cali. There was one bill where it was an easier bill. They were going to try to find the black people who had got their properties confiscated through things like eminent domain, stuff like that, because that's what was used in a lot of the situations where black people's environments got co-opted, which would have been actually the easier one. And they didn't bring that one up. And then the other one, the overall arching reparations bill, they wouldn't even bring that up. And so when you have to look at these particular type issues, I look at these as more like distracting issues, because if black people really wanted some money, if that's what black people really wanted, why wasn't black people more engaged? I'm not saying he was going to give it to you, but he did put $500 billion on the table with the Platinum Plan, and all the black people that supported Ice Cube said, okay, yeah, he's working this and that and the fourth. Then there was a lot of pushback against him too. So at some point, man, y'all can't just be people that just get angry at everything. Like, you're gonna have to make certain moves. And at the end of the day, with this global shift and realignment, that's leaving a lot of black people, man, in a wilderness politically. So you better get some kind of political power in some kind of capacity or form. Can't just say, oh, they're racist over there. Oh, they're racist over there. Man, we've been dealing with these folks on some racism shit forever. That doesn't mean we haven't been able to do business with them, because we've had plenty of people that did business with them in the past successfully to get stuff that we needed for our group. But all this, like, oh, y'all jumping out the window for these conservatives and all this type of stuff. Like, no, a lot of us are looking at this from a much more nuanced position, because we understand things from a more national perspective and geopolitical perspective, which is what Perfect was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in, like, when we're talking about, and I see exactly what Perfect Timing was saying as far as it's not about race. It's similar to, I think of the question when you think about the Civil War or slavery itself. You know what I'm saying? Was it about race? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, yeah, it was and it wasn't. The overarching theme is about power and control, money, and stuff like that. But it included race, though. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why we're even having this argument. But hold on, one thing, man. I guess I'm being petty. Sometimes, man, truth teller, man, I don't be knowing when you just being sarcastic or you just want to insert a little provocative talk in here. But when you say y'all scared, what do you mean by that, brother?
And I was talking specifically to the conservative brothers, because they go down the same path in their discussions whenever they bring up topics. And I made reference. I said, I wish I can get a conservative black person to actually give me the conservative viewpoint versus being scared. And what I meant by being scared is a little of what we heard. It's not racial. What? The whole thing is built on racism. How can it not be racial? It's about, and hold on, wait.
Oh, go ahead. That was me. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And then we have some of the other talking points that pop up. Some of the other stuff about diversion and what they're trying to do. Charlie Kirk, his effect on the political system is this and that and the third. And that's why we should talk down about what happened to him. It's a whole conglomerate of things that's irrelevant to us. And not only irrelevant to us as black men, we have to kowtow to what it is in order to accept it. I have never heard a conservative give a plan for black people that'll benefit us. And I read Trump's their plan. I don't know if y'all did. I read it. It was 400+ pages? Yeah. I went through it. And you know what was not specified in it? Black people.
Wait, so because people think strategically, that means they're scared?
No. People cloud their own judgment with things they believe versus facts.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this.
I would like to jump in if I could.
Well, let me get this out first. I do think it's always about color. Now, there are other dynamics that go with it, like power, money, influence, and a whole lot of that has something to do, I'm sure, with the reason that Charlie Kirk is dead. Okay, he threw a lot of stones out there in a lot of different directions. I don't know who killed him. I believe it's a white man. So to me, this is a white on white crime thing. But white people killing each other over power, money, and influence ain't no new thing. That's why we got this country. It literally was about that. One group of white people had an issue with another group of white people. The white people left a certain land. They came over to this land, started doing all kinds of killing, stealing, and destroying, and been killing and destroying since then. It has never actually stopped. White folks have always put out this image that they are generally good people. But when I just simply look at facts, I don't see that match facts. Charlie Kirk getting killed wasn't even a surprise to me. Okay, why wouldn't he get killed? He say so much stuff at so many different directions. Of course somebody came and killed him. Now, I wouldn't do it because I do believe freedom of speech is a great thing that can help people. But to really think that this guy wasn't going to get killed is absolute nonsense. How could you live in this country and think somebody wasn't going to get him? All the inflammatory stuff that he said, and he clearly does it deliberately. You say that much stuff, somebody's going to get you. It's just that simple. You don't need a political party to back you. Sometimes you just piss off one dude and he got something for you. And that's all it is to it. It didn't happen to black folks in other way. That's why I talk about going to the trunk. I'm trying to get people something that they can understand, something that they can hold on to. People get killed for talking every day. Okay, what you talk about is one thing. Can you defend yourself when it's time to? And Charlie thought he was safe, and that's probably why the killer did what he did, where he did it. I'm gonna go to a place where he think he's safe. Wait till he get to Utah, then I'm taking him out. I'm sure the guy planned this for a while, and he said, "No, let him get to Utah first. He ain't gonna really expect it there. He gonna think he's safe again." Now, the man was gaining a certain level of power, because he was definitely gaining a certain level of influence. And guess what? That steps on other people's toes. What do white people do when you step on their toes? They find a way to eliminate you whenever possible. They do this in the business world all the time. That's why you hear about corporate sabotage and all kinds of stuff. They take out people with good ideas. People who create something, you got a new invention that may disturb a different industry, they get rid of you. This happened time and time again. This is white people being white people. And I understand it does connect to bigger things, but I do 3-hour shows. I can't talk about everything in one episode. That's all it is. But it does connect to bigger things. But at the end of the day, this is what white people have been doing. They've been doing it yesterday. They're going to do it today, and they're going to do it tomorrow. That's just the way it goes. The floor is open.
I do want to bring up something, because we've had many discussions on this panel over the years, and I've heard several times when a black person gets caught up in such a manner, there's always a statement saying he should have did this, he should have did that. I didn't hear nobody say that about Charlie Kirk. I didn't hear that at all. I'm quite surprised I didn't hear that from this panel quite yet.
Well, I mean, right? That's the double standard that they actually operate off of.
Well, I'm talking about our folk. So our folk, this panel right now, I've heard several people from the same panel say this when black men are in situations where, it wasn't their fault what happened to them, but it was their responsibility for it not to happen to them. And I haven't heard that not one time yet. And that's something else.
Strategically, the only thing you can do to dodge a sniper is to have bulletproof glass around you. But other than that, like,
how about not be there? Just like when my man was running from his white girlfriend, we all said he shouldn't have messed with her. He shouldn't have been there, right?
My bad, Raj. I just quoted Ice-T. Freedom of speech. Just watch what you say. That's it.
And I'm just gonna say, Even though I know this could mess with some folk, it is not my job to tell no white man in America how to protect himself. He should know that far better than me.
For real.
So let's talk about this freedom of speech thing, right? Because there's a lot of discussion about he shouldn't have lost his life over his political ideology. Well, see, now when black people express their ideology and their opinions about something, especially when it affects them in a negative way, or there's punishment. We can argue about what Kanye said or didn't say and whether or not he was on his meds or off his meds. The thing is he lost $1.5 billion in less than a week. That was punishment. When Kyrie posted an innocuous link to a book or actually a documentary, he went through, I call it the 6-point, Kyrie Irving checklist of these are the things you got to do in order to get your job back. So this is the hypocrisy that's practiced. If everybody don't have free speech, then nobody does. And this is what we're not going to do is allow one group or other groups of people to say and do what it is they want to do. And then as soon as black people push back or actually give our legitimate, grievance or opinion or observation and provide facts, then all of a sudden, like, oh no, we got to shut that down. No, that's not how we're going to operate and function. And that's another problem that they're having, right? Because like I said, let's look at how Charlie Kirk started his week. He had a hell of a week. He started off inciting violence and stirring up his base, about this Ukrainian attack by this black guy who's mentally deranged, right? And using him as an avatar. He didn't say one word about that white guy who literally within the same time frame did the exact same thing and cut up those 3 Ethiopians out there up in I think it was up in Minnesota or wherever it was. But you had a white guy literally, take the life of 3 black people, right? He ain't said a word about it. You had a Hispanic dude, take the life of a black woman, and he ain't said a word about that. I can actually respect Charlie Kirk if he was legitimate and actually consistent across the board. You're not going to sit here and demonize one group and then not say a word when your people are out here, being chaotic, dysfunctional, and criminal and degenerate all over the place. That's the hypocrisy that we're talking about here.
Kev, he is your enemy. He is not held to making you look good or making you look
I get that. That's why he needs to be called out for it. And we don't have enough people doing it.
If he's our enemy, why are we quarreling about his killing? I mean, to me,
right? Wait, Uber, you breaking up?
Look, this guy was a gentrified Klan member, a young gentrified Klan member. He put a nice face on selling and marketing extreme racism. The guy got shot in the neck while he was getting ready to say some shit about young black men.
And black people weren't even top of the conversation.
He was asked a question and he immediately went into the mode of, what about the niggas? Don't you remember that?
Yeah, black people was
hard to hear you.
Yeah, you're very choppy. Very choppy.
Yeah,
but y'all can make him out if we're quiet while he's talking. You can make him out. It's a bad connection, but we can hear what he's saying. I know I'm hearing what he's saying.
I can't hear it.
But what did you say, Roger? Break it down for us.
I can't hear it. Yeah. I want to actually hear what he's saying.
He said he represents the Klan, modern day version of the Klan, based on his rhetoric and stuff that he's talking about.
And he put a nice face on it. He was literally about to go in on black men when he got killed, and he is basically a good way to sell racism. That's what he's saying. He a good way to sell it. He a good salesman, which he was at the end of the day. Because like I said, I agree with some stuff he say. But I would also agree with some stuff Satan said, because Satan even quote the Bible. That don't mean nothing.
The irony of his famous 2 last words, gang violence, is that black people aren't even, because when they say gang violence, again, it's a dog whistle and an avatar for black people. Black people weren't even a topic of the conversation. The conversation was about his people.
White people got plenty.
That's what that dude was talking about, and that's what he was challenging them on. And then so when you hear these white people talk about, we don't sit here and think about y'all. Your people do. The people who speak for you do.
But
every second of the day.
All right. Well, white people have plenty of gang violence. It is more white gang members than black gang members. They outnumber us at everything. This is an unsupervised white people. Why is this a necessary show? Because black people forget that white people worse than us. I don't care what they put on TV. I understand stuff about numbers. I understand about people edit what they want you to see. When you look at America for what it is, white people are a terrible group of people as a collective. I've said time and time again, I have to judge them as individuals because as a collective, I ain't got no use for them. I don't know no story about a group of white people what good was done. Okay? The stories always include killing, stealing, and destroying. What do they do unless they destroying somebody else's stuff? And honestly, the general answer is nothing. They don't invent nothing without killing somebody else, destroying somebody else's stuff, burning down somebody's work area. They do corporate sabotage. They do all kinds of stuff. They put people in prison for crimes they didn't commit knowingly. They do anything to get a leg up. This is just who white people are. And Charlie Kirk's assassination is just a manifestation of white people's general personality. If they don't like what you own, they will kill you to get you to stop.
Mm-hmm. Fellas, this is like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They got killed because the money started getting messed up. This guy got killed for the same thing. You start messing with these people's money, they gonna get rid of you. It's just that simple.
Well, I mean that we don't necessarily know. We know that about Dr. King, but we don't know that about Charlie Kirk. Again, they haven't even found the dude that there's apparently the guy or the person. I'll just say the perpetrator is still on the money. We don't even.
Whose money did he mess up?
The Democrats, bro. This guy was a threat to the Democrats.
But should we even care? I don't understand.
No, that was my point.
He messed up the money of other white people.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And this is what wealthy white people do when you mess up their money.
But what I'm saying is, what difference does that make to us as for our group, right?
Well, it makes a big difference because a lot of the funding that was coming through the Democratic Party was funding shit that was undermining black men's authority and control over their own group. It was literally funding a lot of shit. A lot of the money that they were stealing from the government. Huh? Excuse me?
Okay.
A lot of the money that was coming, that was siphoning out the government. I mean, we saw Stacey Abrams. First of all, when has anybody ever seen a newly installed nonprofit get a $2 billion grant with no experience talking about climate change? Okay, so again, there was a hell of a grift that was going on through the Democratic Party, that they were literally like we were constantly making money. We were constantly making money as a nation, but we were constantly finding ourselves in debt, astronomical debt. Well, that was because a whole bunch of people were stealing money. I'm not saying it wasn't no Republicans either. Rhino, they was in on it too, and that's why you saw a lot of them people on both sides hate Trump. So the money perspective alone was funding a lot of anti-black male policies that was undermining black men, and then only for them to turn around and when the shit is out of whack to say, oh, well, where are the fathers at? Well, you took them away. You undermined that shit with these bullshit ass policies.
Let me make sure I understand. You're saying that the white dude who Charlie Kirk
did not mess up the Democrats' money. Let me get this out. Charlie Kirk did not mess up the Democrats' money. What messed up the Democrats' money was that $2.5 billion that they spent on a presidential election that they lost. That's what messed up their money.
No, I'm not talking about going back that far. They're trying to fix things now. Guys like Charlie Kirk pose a threat to the Democratic Party trying to get back in power, and they gonna get rid of the threat.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
$2 billion on a presidential election that they lost miserably. You can't separate that from that, brother.
No.
You can't separate that from that.
I'm not saying that's not important.
I'm talking about in terms of getting younger voters to switch to. We've seen all the numbers of voters that switched towards the Republican Party. All of the numbers. all of the numbers switched. All of the numbers went up. I agree with you as far as the 2.5 billion. Yeah, that was a catastrophic L. Just losing all that money, not utilizing it properly. However, on the ground game, in terms of the ground game, Charlie Kirk went into those environments and flipped a lot of young people to vote vote Republican in this election. I mean, he did do that. That's a fact.
Bro, this man went into the Democratic institutions and started flipping these young people to vote the other way. They are not going to stand for that.
And that's money.
They would never win again. There was power. They would never win again with a Charlie Kirk.
Okay, so hold on. I need y'all to help me with this because I be listening, and I know y'all think that made sense. I know y'all think it made sense, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody.
Oh my gosh, boy!
But what y'all niggas just said is, Charlie. The reason why it's important for us to care why he got murked is because he was influencing voters that affected Democrats' money, and Democrats was out to get us. So that's why it's important for us to know why he got murked.
Who on this panel said that? Who on this panel said that?
Nobody
who on this panel said that shit? That's that bullshit I'm talking about, right?
Y'all, hold on. Nobody is saying.
He started off by calling this shit, dog. He started off by calling
it. Ain't nobody said that shit.
Okay, good.
Working.
Help me understand.
Everybody chill. Everybody chill.
That's that insulting shit that I'm talking about. And then the nigga act like
I'm not trying to be insulted for real.
Y'all, ain't nobody say that shit. I'm trying to make a statement on behalf of the
truth.
I'm making a statement. I'm making a staff on behalf of the platform itself. On the behalf of the platform itself, nobody here is saying, at least that I can tell, why we should care. I literally did an open statement where I made it very clear. I don't care that this man lived. I don't care that this man died. I do think that's a big thing across America.
He's trolling.
I said
he's trolling.
Trump.
He's trolling us.
I'm just trying to make this clear for audience. I'm making this clear. I'm making this clear for audience because there's newer people here.
I'll
react. People, no, hold on. There's newer people here.
That's what
I am saying.
He's trolling.
I don't think most of
nobody said that, bro.
Oh yeah, I don't think most of America cared that he died. I don't think most of America cared that he died. He has a lot of fans.
That's the definition. He has gaslighting. That's what trolling is. He starts by gaslighting.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did. Hold on. If y'all can somebody
ain't nobody say that.
Can somebody
even Roger said nobody
Hold on, Raul. Can somebody jump off and rewind this 5 minutes and tell me what question I asked you, Raul?
No, hold on now. There was people. There has y'all. Let's see. Hold on. There was people who asked, "Why should black people care?" And nowhere am I saying that black people should care. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I'm saying this right now. It's a reason that I do everything that I do. The reason I even got a series called Unsupervised White People because black people do care way too much about them. And that's real talk. And I'm trying to show folks who they really are at the end of the day. Yes, there's all type of political stuff going on. There's some global stuff connected to this. But white people gonna be white people. And this execution of Charlie Kirk, or assassination, I should say, this is how white people get down. They've always got down like this. From an American standpoint, you can go way back in history to see the same type of stuff. I don't know that you can go in history and see white people on record and not see this behavior. I don't think that exists. I don't really believe that there's a time in history where white people got recorded and they wasn't acting this way. This is who they are. That's why I got to take them as individuals. Because as a group, they a trash group of people. Period. They just a trash group of people. You know? And I'm not putting that on every white person. for the slow people that don't understand what a general statement is, that don't understand third grade English. It's not a general. I'm just making a general statement. It's not
you take them as individuals.
but as a group,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
as a group, they trash. I would never hang out with a group of white people. And I'm just real talk.
I've been in spaces where these people have been talking about this. These white folks on the right, and you know what arguments I've been making. A lot of the Republican Party has just as much as blame as if this person who did this, if they was on the left. I said, because they opened up the gate for this type of shit in the 1876 election when they traded the president. They got the presidency when it was a tie in electoral college. They got the presidency in exchange for removing the federal troops from the South, which was the protection of black people after the Reconstruction amendments were passed. And then what you had from racist whites in the South was the enactment of the Black Code, which ultimately formulated the Jim Crow experience that black people had. This ultimately led to black people switching and supporting the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. It took some time, but it ultimately took black people as a collective ultimately shifted from a voting base to the Democratic Party in the 1930s, and they've been Democratic ever since. So I ain't never been one of these people saying, oh, the Republicans are just great and they just do everything, because they made a political miscalculation that is haunting them to this very day, because now they themselves are looked upon as the most racist people in terms of a political party, as opposed to Democrats, who have been the main people who have been racist towards black people, especially when it comes to black people's rights in terms of voting. And only when they delivered and secured the black vote did black people be allowed in the South specifically to be able to exercise their right to vote, most specifically black men, since we were the ones that got the right to vote first before black women did. So I'm very clear on both sides, who's doing what, and who has contributed to a lot of the BS. So a lot of this stuff that's coming back on them is through their own hands. I've said this. So I don't shuck and jive for either one.
Just so y'all know, Chef Mike has issued a warning. Okay. And he said the next person that talks over the Roger Report Live will lose their suit. Y'all sound like a fish market. And we was getting a little, and he sent one other warning that I put on the screen. I don't know if y'all saw it or not. But I'm gonna say too, if Black Hoop comes back up, if Black Hoop was talking, since he don't have the best connection, we really kind of need to quiet down so we can try to make out what he's saying, because he don't have a good connection for whatever reason. But I'm gonna tell y'all this. Me, Karen, no. Okay, Charlie Kirk, I say a long time ago when I first started to figure out who he was years ago, I said, okay, this dude an idiot. This dude make a lot of stupid statements. I'm just turning him off. I wasn't gonna kill him because he an idiot, but somebody did. Or he pissed off somebody. It could be personal. And again, it's open until we get the killer statement on why he did what he did. It's open. It could be LGBT. It could be some stuff connected to stuff going on overseas. That man done took a lot of shots at folks. And that's just real talk. So anybody may have gotten him. I just don't think it was a black person. And at the end of the day, black people are more used to people throwing stones at us anyway. Do I personally think he was a good guy? Probably not. I'm just gonna keep it real. They saying, yeah, he was a good guy. I don't see the evidence of that. They said he had Christian beliefs. Hopefully he changed. That's all I can say. Okay, I ain't putting no money on it though. But with all the stuff he said, I'm gonna say it again. It makes sense that he got killed. How many times you gonna throw stones and ain't nobody gonna do anything? Yeah, he was 31 and he got shot. Yeah, but they say he been talking crazy since he was 18. And when you think about that, he got 10 years to talk crazy. He got, very powerful people that backed him up. They say he got millions, donations by millionaires and billionaires. So powerful people backed him up. But it's only so much you can talk. Only so long you can talk crazy. Don't nobody do nothing. That's just how it goes. I do believe in freedom of speech. But I do believe freedom of speech also is going to have consequences. And sometimes you got to take stuff that ain't necessarily good. I have said plenty of times in the past, they may get me one day. Y'all just know they got me. Just don't believe no story that I committed suicide, because that's just not in me. And what is that me telling you? They may get me too one day. I'm not saying I want them to. I'm not even necessarily saying I believe they are going to get me. But I understand that this is what comes with the territory when you speak freely in public. And when you go to public places and you insulted a bunch of people, you should not be surprised that one of that bunch gonna do something to you. So it makes sense that he got killed to me. I ain't saying it's cool, but I'm saying it makes perfectly logical sense, especially in this country. White people don't like other white people who gain too much power. We do concentrate on how it affects us, as we should, but white people ain't never liked another white person who gets too much power for their comfort. And I think that's just what was going on with Charlie Kirk. He got too much power for other white people's comfort. So he had to go.
You scared to talk now, Roger? Oh yeah.
I say the floor is open.
Yeah, I couldn't take it out of that.
Scary ass niggas.
Well, I'm gonna take it that I'm not gonna take it that people are scared. I'm gonna take it that people agree. White people kill white people when other white people make them uncomfortable. That's just who they are as a people. And Charlie don't get no pass. Charlie insulted a lot of white folks.
Let's start with the fact that let's be clear too. There are a lot of white people in the United States who are miseducated like a mug, man. Like there are a lot of white people, they don't even know their own history, even going back to Europe. Okay. So when you start talking about this white stuff, it's such a nebulous thing, because it's like even in their own history, they have a history of just nothing but outright warfare amongst each other. So many of them are just, they latch on like a lot of people do. You know what I'm saying? Like we have black people who latch on. A lot of black people latched on the Barack. You know what I'm saying? Perfect example. A lot of black people latched on the Barack. We wanted to see something of that magnitude, but in hindsight, we're realizing, man, he wasn't hitting on nothing. Like he wasn't. And so at the end of the day, this was the same dude that was ran against his cousin, Janie, and all these types of people, you know what I'm saying, against the Iraq war. That's what he said publicly. And then guess what? When he threw his support behind Harris, guess what? Guess who she was getting support from? The Cheneys. These are the same people. These are the same people that 15, 20 years ago, oh man, they're warmongers. And then you're against them. You're against them then, but now you're for them. And so again, man, a lot of people, man, they forget the history, man. And it's like, a lot of us don't forget it. We understand. I remember all of the stuff that when Bush was riding high, man, people just explained a lot of BS, you know what I'm saying, that he did. A lot of people, because they just wanted to see their side win. You know what I'm saying? Trump was one of those people that was pushing back and saying, "No, I don't support this war. I think it's dumb. I don't." He was saying the same stuff about China back then. So again, like for me, I'm of the mindset. I like people who do think independently, even if they're wrong. At least they're not being propagandized into a talking point. Most of the time, we have discussions with people. It's talking points. It's no nuance. It's no history, understanding of history, trying to get a better grasp of where a lot of this stuff is coming from. Because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now, even when it comes to the Ukrainian type stuff, for example, man, this stuff has happened over 100 years ago. Like this stuff is making 100 years ago, and we're still dealing with it on a political level. And we ain't even over there. So my thing is that, we do need to be more open to different views, not just question somebody's authenticity just because they share something that you don't know, and your cognitive dissonance just kicks in, and you just go ape crap, not really understanding, like, man, maybe this person might know something that you just don't know, and maybe you need to look it up, because a lot of times that's the response, because people be so caught up in these narratives. I'm not caught up in a narrative. I'm just looking what's what, and I'm using common sense, and I'm also using my own research to make the best view of what I'm seeing that I can make, because that's all you can do.
Amen.
I think this conversation is going to help us with our political astuteness, because we as blacks, we do need to be a little bit more politically astute, and we need to understand what is going on other than just what we see on the surface. I think this conversation was good. We don't went all around the board. We don't ad hominem attacks, trolling, name calling, and we back brothers again, and we covering the real issue, which is what's happening here politically. Man, was a political assassination. While it's not about us, it may affect us, it may not. But the real deal is, man, this ain't got nothing to do with us right now. It just don't. It just don't. It's white people doing white people stuff. They do this all the time. Just like we listen to rap music, they violent.
Yeah, we listen to it, they live it. That's what we don't get. They go out and kill people for real. We be on the rap talking about we killing somebody. They go kill you for real. You know, you are talking about what you gonna do in the trap. They out here trapping people. You know what I'm saying? That's what white folks do. They trap people. We just talking about what we doing in the trap. It's all fun and games with us. It's just entertainment. This is how they get down. You know, and like I say, it's crazy to me that people would even be shocked by his death. This dude been talking crazy for over 10 years.
They shocked because he's white and they don't think it could happen to white people. That's all it is.
No, I'm just glad it happened. I'm just glad it happened publicly, so we can see it publicly. Because they always put the violent tag on us, but you can see publicly how they really, really getting down. This is what they really, really do all the time when it comes to their money and their political power. All the time. This is why we get in wars with other countries. This is what they do for real.
There are people who make a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money, off of our dysfunction in this country. I mean, I will probably say in the trillions. It's been in the trillions because it's been for decades. So, you know, we have to keep our head on the swivel as a group, and you know, we got to be strategic in the moves that we make out here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, like, from my perspective, you know, just me personally. Sometimes, man, we got to learn how to just leave well enough alone, man. Sometimes we just need to just sit back and sip on our tea, man, and let shit just play out the way it needs to play out. Because sometimes, man, we could be getting set up for a win, and we'll throw a monkey wrench in the wind because we want to talk too much. It's like when the dude is talking to a chick, man, and she wanna give him the buns, man, and he just talk himself out of it, not being aware. It's like she want to give it to you, but damn, dude, you just talk yourself out of it. And it's like sometimes, man, it's like that for us. Because we got a lot of armchair revolutionaries, ain't doing no work in the street, ain't got no organization, ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, dude set up an organization. Where is our shit for us? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean impactful. I ain't talking about the Al Sharpton bucket of fried chicken Kool-Aid network. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about some impactful stuff that's getting our interests met. So we ain't constantly on the we're not constantly on the sideline on some agitators. Like, do we want to be agitators or do we want to be impactful for our people and in our group? I would rather be impactful, not just agitating all the time. Agitating. Yeah, that's good for the internet. You know what I'm saying? But when Malcolm and them was out there, it wasn't just, especially Malcolm and them, like, it wasn't an agitating. They brought the fight to these people. Like, look, this is what it is, and this is what we're not going to tolerate. but they did the work. A lot of people that ain't out here doing the work. They just talking on the internet, and that's fine. But are you really making those inroads? Are you trying to formulate things with the men that's around you to make some kind of impact? That's what it's about. We got to be impactful, not just agitating.
Now I'm gonna say shout out to Lay Wright. He said he was taken out by a rainbow Mormon. Look, I'm not giving gays the rainbow, y'all, because God gave that to us over a covenant. I ain't giving it to him. But this is what I'm gonna say to you. Y'all can speculate all day about who did what until they actually got a shooter in custody, or they at least come up with a manifesto of some kind. Man, it could have been anybody. Charlie Kirk took shots at all kinds of folks for all types of reasons, and all of them were just American reasons. It's global reasons that, you know what I'm saying, it's global shots he took. So somebody from another country could arrange for him to be dealt with. The man had a lot that could have came back on him. And my thing is, it don't matter who killed him at the end of the day. Not to me, anyway. It's not a dark day for America. He was a political guy, yeah, per se. I mean, he didn't hold no political seat. He just got influence, but influence can get you killed. That's just how America operates. And I don't think none of us should be surprised. And I think you got to learn to expect that white people gonna kill like this. And that's why I was saying stuff about the white on white crime. It's extremely prevalent in this country. White people like talking about black on black crime, so you don't pay attention to white on white crime. And one of the very people who are always trying to push this black on black crime, he was involved in white on white crime himself, because that's how prevalent it is. Y'all may think it's ironic or something like that. So people gonna say, well, it's karma. It's just white people being white people. White on white crime is so prevalent, it makes total sense in the world that it was going to be visited upon Charlie Kirk. It just makes sense. It's not something you got to figure out. Now, I'm not saying this to, if his family hear this or whatever case is, I'm not saying this to make them feel bad. I'm just saying what the truth is. The dude threw all kinds of stones at all kinds of people. Eventually, somebody was going to hit him with a brick. That's just how it goes. You pick on enough people, somebody going to hurt you. Somebody did. And since it's been well past 3 hours, I'm going to close it right here, y'all. So shout out to all the white people out there. Whether you on Charlie's side or not, I don't care. Shout out to all y'all. If y'all are new here and you want to hear the realest content on earth, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. We do this at 9 a.m. Chicago time. Not where you happen to live, unless you happen to live in Chicago. Okay? Real talk. I will see y'all tomorrow morning. Long live the habitual lines. Well, let me go ahead and give them these guys a closing statement. Let me go ahead and give them a closing statement, so they can make sure they got out whatever it is that they wanted to get out, because this kind of went in ways that I never saw it going. So I'll start from your end, Kevin 3905. Any last comment you want to make before we go?
Brothers, sisters, this ain't got nothing to do with us. For those out there making comments about this guy and reveling in his death, you're dead wrong. Stay out of that. Let these white people do what it is that they're doing. I appreciate you, brothers, for enlightening me on things that I didn't know, and I appreciate the conversation, good, bad, and indifferent. And thank you, Roger, for having this platform.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Truth teller, that'll make you next.
All I can take from this is lesson learned. Don't stand too close to certain people when you outside. Protect yourself.
Okay, Rael, that'll make you next.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Okay, Jado.
Like the content, share, subscribe, and thanks for having me up, bro.
Appreciate you. Shark, any last words?
Yeah, when your enemies is fighting, just mind your business. But it ain't bad. It ain't nothing wrong with knowing why they fighting. But definitely mind your business. Get your popcorn and just chill in the cut.
I think that's great advice. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Oh, you know what? I got to check the cash out one more time to see if anything else came in. Got to make sure I do that. And I'm gonna say shout out again to Jay Bones, y'all. Please remember the Roger Report Live. The Cash App is open 24 hours a day. So y'all know we got Truth Teller hit me with something, but we ain't gonna say nothing about what that was under his request. So shout out to Truth Teller for that. And as far as anything else, did I get something else new? Boom, boom. Okay. I shout out to Kevin 3905. He's okay. Appreciate you, brother. That's all I'm gonna say. I see the messages in there. Appreciate you. Shout out to Pound for Pound. Thank you very much. He dropped $5 on the Cash App side. Thank you very much, my brother. And also shout out to Afro National, who come through with the $10.57. Thank you, Afro National. And I appreciate the Trail Bentley tax. Appreciate you big time. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the Habitual Line Steppers. I think it was a fantastic show. Regardless, I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.